Show me what you got. Back down, up, back down, back up. 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 Show me what you got. Show me what you got. Down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God. Ain't no reason to back down, so step it up. God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the VCT Game Changers APAC series, the league that's all about seeing how women in esports change the game. I am your host, January Julie. With me on the panel is, of course, the amazing and talented Raf. Raf, we started off the playoffs on day one with 8 teams, now down to only 6. How are you feeling coming into today?
I mean, if you put it that way, we lost 2 teams already, and as much as we wanted to see all of them compete, well, it is what it is. But again, guys, enough of the somber mood. We are still very excited to see what's to come for all the teams that have made it and are thriving. Me personally, I'm really excited to know what might happen between SMG and Full Sense. That's a pretty crazy matchup, as well as everything we have for the day.
Yeah, I mean, that matchup later on in the day is going to be kind of, I think, the one that we'll see if that there is a team this time around that can really challenge SMG, right? Because if there's going to be a team that can threaten SMG for the crown for open number 2, it's going to be Full Sense Sapphire probably. But before we get into that, we do, of course, have 2 matchups that will be played at 5 p.m. in just a bit over here on our sub stream. Of course, it is going to be GE Phoenix facing off against RRQ Kaguya. RRQ Kaguya coming off of that 0-2 by Full Sense Sapphire. Played them twice this open and kind of got 2-0'd by them twice. So definitely kind of like that redemption storyline for RRQ Kaguya coming into today.
And talk about RRQ Kaguya, you know, we like to, every time we bring up Kaguya, we also end up talking about OGX because it seems like they're from the same coin. You know, if OGX is the shield of game changers, I will say that RRQ is the sort of game changers. They are just absolutely tuned towards offense. We've seen so many great sets and plays from them in the previous opens, and with this roster that they have now, I can only imagine how much more I guess, inclined they are to that very explosive, very aggressive stance towards the game.
Absolutely. And I mean, if OGX and RQ Kaguya manage to win their matches at 5 p.m. today, they will get that rematch for tomorrow to see who can carry on further in the bracket. So that definitely be exciting. I mean, I think a lot of fans, especially, are pretty interested in this matchup because, I mean, it's G Phoenix. Am I right? Can I get a G fighting over in the chat? Come on. I mean, this org, they've got fans from all across the world as well, just super passionate about all of the global esports teams. But guys, I think we will, let me see. Okay, we're not going through the prize pool. I think today we've done that, you know, for the last couple of days. Oh wait, we are. Yes. Okay, we're
So
gonna take a look at the tournament format real quick, guys, to check out the road that these teams had to walk down to make it to today. Of course, we are still in the middle of that stage 1 open for this year. We did see a little bit of a tweak in the format and how the teams qualify for Elite, but it's pretty much that year-long circuit. So we do have 3 opens. We're into Open 2. The third open will be pretty quick, pretty dang quick. It's going to be next month in July, and then
wow.
last chance qualifiers will be in August before we reach that stage 3 elite to see who gets to represent our region over at the Global Game Changers tournament in Brazil later in the year. So definitely a lot to play for. And the thing is, I mean, you know, we were talking about last year, right? We're like, come on, the teams in APAC are so strong. Can we get 2 slots, right? Please. But I mean, you know, we've got 1 slot, but even for the other teams that don't eventually make it to Brazil, there is, of course, a pretty hefty prize pool that I think a lot of the teams are more than happy to be vying for.
Absolutely, and you can find this type of money just laying around Jenny's apartment.
What?
Again, guys, I'm just gonna say that outright. But on a more
You've never
serious
been
note,
to my apartment.
I never have, but obviously, right, with everything we have in front of us, and I might just have to echo that thought that this is a huge chunk of change, and not just that, you know, it's a great platform for all of our players to really grow and improve.
Absolutely.
And again, show our stuff to the world. APAC is very, very strong, and once again, you did mention, why don't we have 2 slots? Maybe that might change, who knows, because if I remember correctly, last year going into, I think it was points, there was just a huge upset that I feel like I'm blocking from my memory actively. But again, with all of that, it's just, wow, Game Changers, we're still here. There's still 1 more open if ever some of these teams drop out. So again, guys, no worries. There's still 2 more chances technically with LCQ. But I feel like I've said and given you guys a thorough review of our format already.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of chances for the teams to just keep racking up those points throughout the circuit, throughout the year. But guys, that's going to be it for our opening. We're going to come back in just a few minutes for a closer look at today's teams. Hi guys and welcome back. We're about almost ready to hop into game for our first and only series here on the substream today with a GE Phoenix going up against RRQ Kaguya. And I mean, what a matchup, right? I think for both of these teams, it hasn't been an easy road for either of these teams coming into today's day number 3. Like GE Phoenix, they just got 2-0'd by SMG yesterday, although, we can't really quite use SMG as that benchmark. I mean, who hasn't at this point been 2-0'd by SMG? But looking at their other matchups, they did manage that 2-1 versus the Hero KDA. They had that 5-1 score in the Swiss qualifiers as well. And if I'm not wrong, I think it was their very first match. They actually lost that one 0-2. It was versus Team Lo-Fi Ego, which didn't actually make it through into the playoffs. So a bit more of an unknown team, but it was also on day 1. So you can kind of say like maybe it was like first day jitters. We haven't had the last open since March. Maybe that came into play. But what we've seen of them recently has been pretty good.
That is true. I have to say, though, that it really is so interesting that this is the first time RQ Kaguya and Global Esports Phoenix are running into each other, despite their presence in previous Opens and previous seasons of, again, game changers, right? But talk about Global Esports Phoenix. That being said, with this squad's first encounter with the super, super high-octane RQ Kaguya, I am very much excited to see what they have in mind to weather such type of aggression and really, really forward play. On the side of G Phoenix, we don't necessarily have too many roster changes. If I recall correctly, I think it's just High Face stepping down, and I believe it's Baila going into that Sentinel role.
You're absolutely right.
Thank you very much for reminding me. Because, once again, right, G is very good at just kind of keeping a core together and developing over time. But we are going to be running into, or rather showing you guys who their opposition is for today, and that's going to be RRQ Kaguya.
Yeah, and I mean, these girls, they don't need no introduction, but they're gonna get one anyway because they dang well deserve it. It's Aluka, Capricious, Iceberg, Ayumi, as well as Bess on your screens. We were talking about how I think there are a lot of fan expectations, not just from the fans, but especially from the players themselves. I'm sure they have so many expectations for them. We've done multiple interviews with them over the years about how, they expect themselves to be that championship team. A lot of them, like Iceberg, she's been in Game Changers since the very beginning. However, just not quite finding as much success this year, especially in this open number 2. As we're saying, they've met Fulton and Sapphire, kind of their rivals, right? Like twice this open and twice they got 2-0'd. So it's just a bit of a shame that we're seeing them in this lower bracket, but they definitely do have a lot to prove. And today might just be the day where they start finding that redemption.
Finding redemption on the first encounter against Global Esports Phoenix. I mean, I feel like it's only fitting, right? And talking about this team, my biggest worry on the side of RRQ Kaguya is that normally going into the playoffs, they usually hold a very clean, a very impressive record throughout the Swiss stage. And again, even this late in the season, they don't normally drop a series or a map, but it's been all different. I feel like it's because there's so much firepower in that team and just fire in general that sometimes it's very hard to contain. Overheating may be a problem here and there, but it doesn't take away on how strong and how effective they can be still as a squad.
Yeah, and that's kind of like one of the things that we tend to see occasionally amongst the game changer teams, right? Is because even though we do have that year-long circuit, I mean, our last open was in March, and for some of these teams, it's a bit harder to maintain that constant level of a scrims week after week. And so sometimes you get teams who have so much firepower on their squad, but then when you see them play in the open, sometimes they might not show up as that cohesive unit. They're just counting on being able to win those aim duels. And then after that, it looks a bit more shaky. But we do have the map vetoes for our series, guys. It is going to be Pearl to start us off in map number 1, Fracture, and then Ascent. And I'm super excited because we haven't seen much of Pearl, especially on the sub stream this time around. It's been like Lotus, Fracture, a little bit of Ascent, Haven Bind snuck into there, but Pearl, man, on map number 1, what an opening.
What an opening indeed, and just this veto in general, the first 2 maps, it just really feels like, since it's so heavy towards offense and the attacking side, RRQ Kaguya have a very, very good chance of beginning a snowball. And again, looking at their player profile, once Kaguya start that snowball, it just becomes so dangerous. But if there is a team that can handle that type of aggression, again, it's going to be GE Phoenix. Again, they're very patient, they're very tactical, so they might just have to divvy up all that immense firepower into smaller fights. You did mention we do have a very, very intriguing and interesting set of maps here on our sub-stream. Talked about Pearl and Fracture, or rather Pearl not making too many appearances. I feel like we've only seen it about twice or 3 times at this point. Once was from SMG, which have again become a point of conversation.
Blink and you miss it. That's pretty
exactly.
much. You go get a drink, you come back, wait a minute, the map's over. Like, yeah, that's been the story of the I think SMG games so far. So far, though, I mean, we're hoping for a more closer series from them. But as you were talking about Pearl, definitely we're super excited to see more of this. I want to talk about how you think the agent compositions might shake up on Pearl, because some of the criticism that we get from analysts, right, is that like they're actually bored of seeing Pearl because over like the last few months it seems as if I just saw that eye roll. We're gonna it seems you have some strong opinions on that, like, oh, I forgot I was on camera, let me just roll my eyes at the stale state of the agent composition on Pearl. But I mean, a lot of analysts, they're like, oh, it's like Viper Harbor. How do we think, like, what we see today?
I mean, yes, we do tend to see a lot of Viper Harbor on Pearl. I don't think the agent pool for Pearl is actually that stale in comparison to maps like Ascent. God. But going into Pearl, because we see a breadth of duelists that really get their playtime on Pearl. Occasionally we see Arena if they really want to go into the snowball. Phoenix has become a prominent solo duelist because of his ability to just self-sustain and really, well, still function as a duelist, have a flash, and the completeness of his kit really helps. Jet gets a lot of playtime on this map too, because again, the operator can be a real threat, especially with against teams that love to default off of that B long position. And I gotta say, I'm glad that they made changes to that specific part of the map. That is just a hallway of death. And the controllers, yes, Harbor is probably going to be there. Viper is probably going to be there. The question is, who are they going to be paired up with? Because sometimes we do see an Astra come into play. And again, in this map, it just feels like it can be incredibly limiting to what controllers you can play, as you mentioned, just because of the amount of entrances that you have to cover. Again, B alone, you invest 2 smokes to completely cover up that long take. So it's like, oh, I guess we'll just have to wait again. And that makes Pearl really one of the slowest maps here. It's really safe to rotate as an attacker when you're trying to defend it, when you're trying to establish a lurk threat. You really have to go super deep as a defender to get a little bit of value, other than just kind of holding on towards mid, so on and so forth. So I understand why analysts are somewhat fed up of this map, honestly, because now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, what do they need to do with Pearl? I mean, I don't think it's a bad map. It could be better. I wish Icebox was back, but I mean, like Icebox?
I know, if we're talking about stale, like, Icebox has gotta be the most stale map out there. But
I love Icebox.
Yeah. I just love that, we're seeing that resurgence of a Phoenix, like, on a couple of maps, because, like, last year it was like no one played Phoenix, and literally like only Jing, I think, on Paper X was still making those Phoenix picks happen every now and then. Of course, he's also playing it here and there this year too. But yeah, like, that he's being picked on Pearl. Like, his wall is useful on B. He's also useful, as you mentioned, like, on the flank, self-sufficient over in mid. I think on Pearl it's a bit more viable. Do you think we're gonna see a little bit of your little buddy Gecko today?
On Pearl, absolutely not. I feel like Pearl is a map where Gecko is okay. but I would much rather have maybe a Sky, maybe a Fade. Sova is not bad, but I feel like Gecko, because the thing about Pearl is that there's just so much open space in places where you have to commit utility to, and you kind of have to pick it up, and it's always just like a gamble. It's like, am I gonna get shot? Are they gonna swing out? And having a Gecko, you kind of have to death ball as a team, so it does take quite a bit of time. And Pearl already a slow map. I don't want it to get any slower. I'm just saying, oh man, Pearl, you're a wonderful map. You're great for opping. You're honestly, I feel like Chamber is somewhat okay on this map, but everything else is just very smooth sailing, I guess, or cruise control would be another word for it, because there's just very little potential to burst towards Pearl unless you're trying to hit A, but
Yeah, I think that for like a Gecko on Pearl, whatever he does, I'd even prefer like a Fade. I think would do like whatever Gecko could do better on this map in particular. But talking a bit more about Pearl, right? Do we think that it favors either team's play style more in one way?
I absolutely think it favors RRQ Kaguya way more, because just again the factors that we talked about, right? It's very attacker sided. There's a lot of safe rotation, and if there's one thing I remember about RRQ Kaguya from the last season, or rather the last open, is that they're still very systematic on that initial hit. They really want to clean up their staging area if ever they want to go explode on towards the site. And again, they do have the tendency to overheat. They do have the tendency to just straight up take skirmishes, but for the most part, they do kind of keep that system in place still. And with Pearl, just the safety of their rotations, it just gives GE that much, I guess, importance to control mid, try not to get any snowballs going and whatnot, because well, all of that. Plus Capricious is on the squad. If you remember Capricious from the OGX days, she was really the firebrand of the team. Sometimes you would think that, oh man, they're really at a deficit for fragging, and suddenly Capricious just says, no, we're not, we're gonna catch up, we're gonna keep going. And once again, added firepower to a team that's already so fiery is gonna be a big problem.
Yeah, I think that Muffin Loop, Meow 16K, definitely going to be the players to watch out for the squad of GE Phoenix. Just historically in the past, whenever the squad has needed someone to step up, it was always going to be Muffin Loop as well as Meow 16K to make that initial contact to create that opening for the team. But guys, it does appear that we have a bit of technical difficulties, I think, loading into the game before we get into that agent select. So we're going to go for a really short break before we come back with the game. Don't go anywhere. Get some snacks. We'll see y'all in just a couple of minutes. Hi guys and welcome back. We are just about ready to hop into that agent select for our first map of day number 3 between GA Phoenix as well as RRQ Kaguya. Just to refresh everyone's memories, they will be playing that map number 1 over on Pearl that we're pretty excited for because we just haven't seen as much of Pearl in the last couple of days, right?
Yes, I am a Pearl enjoyer. But again, we talk about
Clutches
GA.
pearls.
What? I don't get it. But no. Anyway, so we go back to Global Esports Phoenix, right? Jenny, why would you do that? Anyway, Global Esports Phoenix. One thing that I really appreciate about this team is that they're very flexible in terms of their roles. Like, you can never really have one permanent configuration on this team, and it's proven to be quite a problem with a lot of other teams too, because again, how do you anti-strat a team that's incredibly versatile, has a very, very open approach towards the game, and just trying to maximize the skill set of basically every player they have. And I feel like that's going to be such an asset coming in to this matchup, especially against RQ Kaguya.
Yeah, and we were saying that, GE Phoenix, they haven't had as many like roster changes. It was really just High Face stepping down and now Bela being their 5th member. And I mean, like, do we think that that's going to affect the team that much at all? Because Open 1 was back in March. I mean, they do have, had a bit of time to try and integrate Bela into the team, but what do you think?
I mean, there's always that kind of growing pain, right? Because with Haife being with the squad for a good minute and having that established chemistry, there's obviously going to be a bit of a void to fill for a good moment. But knowing Bela and knowing what the players have already gone through, I'm absolutely certain that they've already bridged some of those gaps. Although, there's still those small game decisions that do come down to how one would react and how it would domino to the other players. So I feel like that's still maybe a bit of an unknown quantity, because how long has Bela been with this team? Just about a month or
Like
so.
a month or so, yeah.
Yeah. So there's still a lot to discover, and hey, who knows? Maybe, just maybe, this is where Bela finally finds that, how like when you really get into a team and you feel like everything's clicking, maybe that's gonna be the same for Bela and the rest of GE Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that, in a way, I feel like both of these teams kind of have a bit of a similar problem that they've been going through for this year, right? Because I think for G Phoenix as well as RQ Kaguya, when you're looking at the cores of both these teams, you've got Muffin Loop, Meow 16K for G Phoenix, RQ Kaguya, I mean, Iceberg, Ayumi, Aluka, Nabsky, like these girls have known each other for absolutely forever. And when you're thinking about cohesion and thinking like being able to play on the same team, like they should have this together by now. Like it should have all clicked, and yet both these teams are like just struggling to find that last bit of success. So I think this will be an important series to see like just which of these teams can pull it together right where it counts, because this is elimination, this is a lower bracket. One of these teams is going to go home. But guys, we are ready finally for Agent Select this time around. It's going to be the fade for Capricious. I'm pretty excited about that. Double fade as well. Rose picking that one up. Bit of a difference in terms of the duelist. Jet for the Ayumi, and then Meow 16K once again on that signature Raze pickup. So it will be the Astra Raze on the side of Global Phoenix, and the Jet and Harbor for the side of RRQ. What do you think?
I am thinking quite a bit, actually, because once again, we've discussed what is really the main difference between double innie and double controller. Double innie, you really want to take as much open space as you can and be aggressive and have that more immediate effect, get your flashes in, swing off of that type of utility. Meanwhile, when you have the double controller, you just kind of want to wait it out, So I feel like Kaguya's game plan right now is to just kind of let GE do their thing, and they're probably going to heavily rely on that retake, as again, pardon me, the composition will allude us to.
All right, well, we're gonna figure it out, and hopefully both G Phoenix and RRQ Kaguya have that game plan coming into map 1 once again, do or die. But guys, we're going to hand the time over to our wonderful casters for today. It's going to be Dax as well as Black and Blue. Dax and Blue, over to you.
You heard that, man? She said the tagline.
I know.
She said her rhyme.
She gave us a
But
little nickname and all.
I love it. I love the whole introduction Jenny gives us. But of course, we need to introduce the team and familiar faces, familiar franchises, my friend. Strong cores have stuck around, but only one can stick around in the lower bracket. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Elimination. Global Esports Phoenix versus RRQ Kaguya. Dax and Black and Blue together yet again. And my friend, what do you think about this matchup? Because I feel like even with the map pool that we have here, it can be pretty even.
I don't know. I think if you look at this opening map pick RRQs, it has kind of favored here, at least statistically, historically, towards that RRQ side. And then with the fact that I would count them personally as the favorite to win this series, even though they're both in the lower bracket, just based on history, there is a chance for Global, but RRQ, they've proven more in the past.
Yeah, I feel like RRQ, yes, their experience and of course their pedigree says it all. But moving over to the next few maps, Fracture, where Global Esports has just been very confident in how they play, as well as Ascent, where we've seen RRQ kind of slip on up. There are chances here for GE Phoenix to show their improvement, and one who's improved well has been Kiri. 2 already to get the takedown, holding inside the smoke, and this forces RRQ to rethink their plan. They're trying to set up the double wall just to stay on live and get the post plant going.
And this is what they kind of want to bank on. Our panel talked about it a while ago. They have the utility shuffle that should kind of work out as longevity continues on. I don't believe the Viper nerfs are going to be live in our current patch, in our current game today, so they still have that added amount of time to keep their utility on up and go for the plant attempt. With Aluka opening up here, that should be their signal to go.
Yeah, RRQ always had that second wave, and with Aluka getting that takedown, there's still that firepower alongside her Capricious too. Raph mentioned it a while ago, double initiator. Try and make those space creation tools work. Find ways to contest as well, as the pings do come. It's Bela here, waiting behind the box. Aluka will actually disengage in perfect timing here for Bela. Finds the takedown now onto Aluka. 3v2, and suddenly it's all left to Iceberg behind the veil of the wall. A tap there from Rose though, and Iceberg isolates the angle. Bela, the new addition, can she do it against such a veteran Iceberg? Looks like she does so in time, and Global Esports will take the first round.
Nicely done here by Bela. Some, I guess, timing working out in their favor. Quite fortunate there, especially in that peak there for Bela to find Aluka, but that really is where it came down to. The anchor positions, the power positions that RRQ ended up choosing on here, being that CT, being there towards that back hall. It never really was enough when they kind of further extended, and at the very least, on these type of rounds where they're set 3v3, they still got both of those innies up. That's where you'd kind of want both of those innies alive, right? The retake potential just increases because of how much hitting power they have.
Yeah, and look at GE go. Usually it's always Meow and Muffin doing God's work for the squad, but we've seen here in Open 2, they've gotten better as a unit. They've really hunkered down on the core that they have, and not only that, they've improved as a team. Prowler though into play. When you have that fade, you can go for those closer contests, but Meow hurting now after that shot from the Sheriff. And in this case, RQ splitting up just to try and find some isolated duels.
Well, they pulled a bit of noise here towards mid, and I'm wondering to see what exact type of reaction GE gives them so far. This is something we've seen from them, where they like to give up this mid position here towards that connector. Don't want to fight for it. Bela, because if you do that, that's exactly what can happen. This connector, very prone to being overrun. Muffin trying to back on away. She's down to 1 HP, luckily escapes, and Kiri's there for the help.
Yeah, the firepower necessary now, and Global Esports taking a stronger position towards the side. Muffin loop though, absolutely hurting. Here comes Iceberg as well, and gets the flank going towards Kiri. Chance here from RRQ. The overrun, as you mentioned, working out in their favor as they just flood through the middle.
That's a risky run there, right? Exactly. That's why a lot of teams would like to give up that connector control. They just play on back towards where the waterfall might be, because that's free real estate that you don't necessarily have to fight for on the defense against an eco like this, because they can get overrun. It's very prone to that exact thing happening, as we see her right now trying to crawl up on in. You're going to win the trade game, easy and simple. Ayumi a bit late on that reaction, but she gets it out anyway. So Nice recovery here from RRQ.
Even she's laughing a little bit about it. Realizes Rose was already in position, right? It's just, hey, we don't have a Fate on our team. That's
Oh.
theirs. No, that's not
you.
a friend. That's
What are you doing over there?
Well, why are you here? You got a ticket? In the end, though, I feel like for RRQ, yes.
Yeah, just the replay. Continue.
Yeah. I feel like for RRQ, I mean, that's one of their biggest strengths. Both of these teams are very execute heavy, but RRQ has a bit more of that aggression in them. And if Aloka isn't popping off, it will be a Yuumi. The space that they can make thanks to their Jet in the forefront, it's already essential for the side takes, but if she's still alive later on, she's one of the biggest guns RRQ has in store.
I think also if I look at, this team, if you look at their backline, it's very reliable as well. Capricious, Iceberg, and Bess. These three, especially last year, just had themselves such a season, such a run-through of the entire year that it'd be hard to put them past anything outside of the top 3 or top 5 when you consider like the best backline supporting crew of any team. And for RRQ to have that, not just the superstars, but also the rock-solid, reliable players that they got, that's a big thing.
And let's not forget Capricious, she swapped over to more of a supporting role here for RRQ Kaguya. But Global Esports needs no support, needs no vision. Rose and Meow already with the takedowns. Beauty of the rays and the paint shells. Just a stellar combo here from Global Esports as they anticipate the side take. Plant goes down though, and now we hear the Viper Spit into play from Iceberg. RRQ trying to just find a bit of an advantage now as G has the numbers.
Well, here comes the retake now from Global. Man advantage, sure, they have more player count, but the weapons aren't exactly going to favor them. The longer they're in this, though, it's going to be more delicate. Meow, good on the one, but they know where she is right now, and in the Viper's Pit, there's no chance to try and take down Iceberg when she's the one holding things down. RRQ take the lead.
Yeah, Iceberg getting that Viper Spit so early on. Bailed out RRQ Kaguya in that situation. It was already a great eco from Global Esports. The fact that Rose and Meow had the right spams thanks to the seasoned paint shells. They had the right angles to begin with. It gave Global Esports a fighting chance, but this is where RRQ can shine. If someone is fed the kills or the orbs, they get a quick ultimate. They're happy to utilize it just to win out these rounds.
Well, we talked about some of the players here in RRQ, like Capricious, coming from that Zola roster. And she was such a stellar addition. Surprised everybody when they took down that Brand Victress squad and then played over on Orangutan for quite a bit.
I cannot use that.
This player has just had so much experience in the short time that people have been aware of her that it's astounding now for her to play on a team like this.
Here.
Yeah, and her peaks have been very much so on the highest levels of the game changer scene. We go back into the action though, and we go for a Yuumi. Here we will fall first and foremost. Nightfall though, utilized by Rose, and they want to play from the link, but Meow peeks on out, just can't see anything. RQ instead with the takedowns. And the problem here, if Global Esports can't find a Yuumi first, the floodgates are just well open for RRQ to take advantage.
And you see the strengths of that double controller comp that they're running, right? They got the Viper Wall for the closer one, and then to cut off the CT, cut off the link. They have the Harbor High Tide, and they just isolated whoever's trapped in between it there. Kiri getting caught out from that Jenny, could not fall back, could not get in the help. Aluka gets another here on the Muffin, but yeah, just that's the strength of this double wall controller. It's so quick and easy to isolate the fight that the defense can do nothing about.
And that's why double wall was popularized by DRX on this map, prevalent into the meta if you can play things right. And it takes a lot of synergy for a team to actually use this in the first place. Best and Iceberg, they have that synergy. RRQ Kaguya, they've been together for so long under different names, and they know how to play off one another. This round goes to RRQ's execution.
What a way they do it too. And that's the way to put it, Dax. Their execution is exactly what has defined them as a team, has brought them to the heights that they have in the past, and they're continuing it on here. Now, yes, they might be in the lower bracket, but you also have to take into consideration which teams they went up against in the upper bracket, one being that Full Send Sapphire squad, who has always been, for the longest time, one of their biggest rivals in the scene here in Game Changers. So that's no surprise, but on a team like this, when Global, their only winning point, or rather, at least contending point, is when you look at how the map veto could go. You talked about especially that fracture for map number 2, which I think is where we're going to see GE's real strengths come on up, because
Absolutely.
RRQ, a map here like, is that map 3?
Map 3 is Ascent. So we start
Yes.
Pearl,
Yeah, it is
we go
map 2.
Fracture. And just to get in there real quick, I think really we get the best of RRQ now. We get the best of GE later. But the
Yeah.
longer this goes, the more possible this is for GE.
I think we get the best of both. If we ever do
Yeah.
get into Ascent, I think it works
Yeah.
out for either side. You look at their maps, statistics historically, and they're neck and neck on Ascent. Like, quite literally, 67% for either side in this past year, half a year actually, and that's a lot to tell, a lot to talk about too. But let's move on here from then. Eco now for Global, attacking side favorite on RRQ.
Yeah, well, just go back to our overarching topic, right? If RRQ takes this, Global Esports still has a chance. If GE takes this, though, it's RRQ who might be in trouble. We do get a hero rifle in the hands of Baila. Beyond that, though, it's just Moso, a half buy, an eco here for GE. Maybe a pick towards mid can help them out, pick up a few guns, but it's really just RRQ right now, clearing out what they can before they execute.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, Dax. I don't know if our panel agrees, but I'm kind of expecting a 3-map series for this. Like, Global undefeated on that Fracture so far here in the past 6 months. RRQ taking one, but we haven't had a big sample size. Early engagement here, they get the one, but that's their only real rifle. So that's a bygone giveaway. 3v4, it stands on the A site.
Not a bad effort. They were trying to bait out with the Sheriff first and foremost and then swing with the rifle. Could have gone bad for RRQ with them lined on up, but they do well to survive and make their way towards the A site. High side now, blockading any vision from Flowers as well as Secret, but Meow has the better angle now. No one checking towards Art. Meow with the takedown, picking up a Phantom too. A chance here yet again for the side of Global Esports. RRQ retreating towards main, but Muffin Loop finding Iceberg trying to fade on the way. Capricious though, stellar shot. Cosmic Divide now into play, forcing RRQ to play close. Maybe Kiri can get things done. Finds Capricious, yes, but Ayumi will find her in her stead. RRQ still get the round, but Global Esports is making them work for these rounds.
A bit of uncharacteristic miscommunication there, it seems, and uncoordination from RRQ. They do this plant, which is typically so that it is exposed to both A main and the Art position, but they didn't have anybody towards Art. And with that, it was open, exposed. They get the kill off of it. They take down Bess, and it could have been a lot more disastrous if Global Esports were able to isolate some of those fights, but they have to make sure if they're planting for a spot that it's covered from both ends.
Yeah, we've seen that from RRQ. The slip-ups happen once they're done doing their initial execute. During the plant, during the post-plant, it takes them a while to reform their lines. And if Global Esports can find those opportunities, they can find the rounds. Rifles about now for the defense. The Blade Storms here from Ayumi too. Updraft though for the Scout. Second updraft now in desperation, but still, he still gets Meow. Elaka also clearing out the holes. And from this point on, it's RRQ taking this B site.
Yeah, big shots here
Spike planted.
to connect, especially from RRQ. Ayumi going all the way on in. And now they have much more control than Global would have otherwise wanted off the site. They can leave Ayumi here. They know she's here towards that back hall, confirms it with a Prowler, but that's fine. All they have to do, all Ayumi has to do, is wait for that push to come. If they push through this Viper's wall, then it's going to be even more dangerous. They see her on out. Bit of awkward timing there on the wall as it gave her away.
Yeah, swings out instead, and Global Esports using the lockdown for space. Long range is the game from RRQ, but Rose already on defense duty. Halfway done, the turret gets what's left. 2v1 now, all left the best, and it seems like they're just trying to protect Muffin Loop. Here, she gets away with it though. Global Esports, they sacrifice the front line just to get the round, and it works out for them.
Oh, at that range, hard to connect sometimes with the Phantom, especially in such a small target. Nicely done by Global on the recovery, but this is really where it turned down when Ayumi kind of overstayed her welcome. Swung with timing not working against her. I get it, she wanted to kind of get ahead of the lockdown pop, but there should have been something else there to support her. Maybe someone a bit closer towards a pillar. It just never really came, and because of that, Global, they win a 3v4 retake.
Yeah, and the fact that we got that half defuse to begin with just really told Global that they can actually make this retake work. Prowler though to begin now. Global Esports still happy to contest main with their double initiator anyway. But you hear it here from RRQ. Null command coming in through Link. They want to get the pinch going with the Nightfall as well. Global Esports, not only do they disengage towards Secret, they also get that takedown on the cross. So GE holding close right now here, Black and Blue, but the dash on in from Ayumi, Alaka there too. The A&A connection. Really, the battery, the powerhouses of RRQ fighting on back. Kiri's there though for the trade. It's 3v3 for now, but Meow with the find. Iceberg though with the hold. And in the end, it's RRQ still with the advantage. Kiri's the last one standing.
A nice quick flash and dash. They know that High Tide is going to be really strong at, stopping momentum, stopping a quick push through. Trying to get the res. Muffin is kind of safe. He baits her out just to get a kill, and still Ayumi does in the end, even while isolated. So RRQ overrunning the defense here on the A site and knowing, really predicting where exactly they would be pursuing and looking. Quick flash and dash, open up the site. Nicely done here from RRQ.
Yeah, the double A's, the synergy between Alaka and Ayumi is just unmatched for the RRQ roster. But then you gotta give props to GE. They're always making these rounds so testy, right? They're making sure that it's contended. It is winnable for them. But RRQ, we've seen this many times. This is a squad that can bail themselves out of a bad situation.
That's what they got going for them, right? It's not just the brains that they bring into the fold, but also just, I guess, the chemistry that these girls have already built upon throughout the past year. They've worked upon it, and they're looking really good so far here in this map. Econ once more for Global, and as you say, Dax, on these type of rounds, Global, they've been making RRQ work for it, so if they can do much more damage once again here economically, they could still keep this half close.
And look how Baila has just been very ambitious right now, even playing towards mid. But RRQ, they have ways to make this setup as safe as possible.
Oh, timing.
Ayumi, okay.
Oh,
Nah, no push whatsoever. So for now, RRQ, they should be able to navigate towards that B site. But since GE is finding no contact whatsoever towards A, they're also going to rotate that way.
Well, they still have that flank coming on in. You can see Ayumi trying to be aware of that possibility. Plant here towards that B long.
Spike planted.
I don't think Global have a great chance here. Maybe they can take down a pick on this back hall, but Ayumi, the fact that she finds Bela means that the rest of RRQ can focus on the retake at hand.
Yeah, interesting though, it's only Best inside the halls. Now we do get the reckoning. Best with a takedown. Kiri gets close enough to get at least one kill for himself, but for the rest of RRQ, they have the range and they have the guns. Rose on top, at least gets one more. 3v1 for now, but only with a sheriff. She needs to hit the best shots of them all, but then Ayumi's there for the backstab even. RRQ with another one, making it 6-2.
Further extending the lead here. And now, while they're on the attacking side, I get it. It's going to be more difficult for Global, but they have to somehow stop the bleeding here. Somehow gain a round, stop that momentum. A timeout wouldn't even be out of the question, and I'm looking to see when that stop does come. Maybe they're going to try something new here. Maybe try something a bit more aggressive. That's what their comp would suggest, right? But we just haven't seen that proactivity on the defense just yet. They've been waiting and poking to see where RRQ come, but it hasn't done much off of it.
Yeah, and we've seen their struggles on the defense last time against Team SMG. We know Team SMG is a powerhouse. It's a little bit different from the rest of these teams. But then again, Global, they're still getting overrun here by RRQ. And now, with Connector, with Link under control for RRQ, Iceberg's now in a 1v3 spot. Pillar being taken here by GE. They want to clear out the longer lanes first. Meow with the takedown. The chance right now for GE to try and get pinch going. But effectively, it's 3v4 until reinforcements arrive.
Yeah, retake coming on in here from B long instead. That's her power position. I'm wondering to see where exactly Kiri and Bela go. Rather, Kiri and Rose, but it seems they want to link up with the rest of that B long push. So, effectively, defenders and attackers, they've swapped sides here.
Yeah, there you go. And the Nightfall now to initiate onto the side. Meow also with a showstopper, tried to clear out the alleyway, but the suppress gets so much value. Meow though doesn't care. The Rocket's red glare does not shine, but Meow instead is a star in the making. A quad truly here for GE, and they will take the round with the retake.
They thought they could take her weapons away with a suppress there off the knife. It denies the showstopper. but it will not deny her. Huge round here from Meow69K, and they thought only dogs could bark. This girl could too as well. Look at these rounds. Look at this shot, especially that one there towards that heaven. Spraying on through, connecting, and when they flip the sides, when they flip the switch, Global knew exactly which gear to hit.
And we've seen that from Global Esports. I was talking about their previous series against Team SMG on the attacking side. When they group up, when they go together, that's when they look better than ever. And you mentioned it, Black and Blue. Suddenly, the sides did swap. GE's happy about that. We'll pretend to be the attackers. We'll pretend to go for the clear. And Meow, of course, when she's on that raise, she is reliable to be that front line. So a round taken here by GE. Can they continue on with momentum? Or will RRQ stuff them out immediately into the contact towards main? It's RRQ with advantage.
Early advantage once more. And this is where Global typically have struggled. We did see one 3v4 clutch go their way a while ago, though, rather retake. That was on the B site. This time around, Cosmic Divide, yes, but it's going to be further delayed by the fact that this null command is popping and keeping them at bay for the meantime. Now they've got a chance, but if they can find maybe this kill on Ayumi once more as she's isolated, that could be what helps them get this round.
And there's the seize already from Capricious. Global Esports buying a bit of that time. RRQ on the opposite end, though. Main hold yet again. RRQ loves to play off-site, and Global Esports look to take advantage. Ayumi isolated from her peers. Taken down there. Violet prepared more so than Iceberg. And Global already on the other side of the veil. Muffin loops on defuse shooting. Kiri is the bodyguard. And Global Esports yet again steal it away. Like thieves in the night, they just erect the wall and they take the round.
Another 3v4 retake with the defuse stuck in the end. That Cosmic Divide being the barrier that they needed to have the opportunity to stick it in the first place. And once again, in that 3v4, Ayumi isolated there. And as I said, if they're able to take down Ayumi, as she is the isolated player, much of like what we saw there towards B-Long when they had Ayumi towards that back hall and the rest of the team was towards B-Long. That's exactly what happened. So the post-plant here of RRQ, same struggles and same effect afterwards as Global are able to find the same solution.
Yeah, Ayumi has 5 deaths, and a majority of those were because she was all alone on the site, not protected by the rest of her team. Seems like RRQ, they're gonna need to sync on up in those scenarios because GE has taken advantage of the FAF. Ayumi, though, better distance this time with a dash on in, but Meow with a shutdown. Rose is there too, and Global Esports is fired up, prepared now to play the anchor. Here comes the gravity wall, and Meow brings out the shorty as well. Snake bites, though, making Muffin Loops life a little bit harder. 3v2 for now, and while RRQ slow down the pace of the take, the seize is there, and GE even has the high ground here. Black and Blue, a chance perhaps for the pinch.
Timing. It doesn't look.
Doesn't
Still
look.
Best gets it.
It's so close. It's Iceberg now, and Best trying to make things work. Another instance where we have the Viper Spits, but the lockdown is there as well. GE looking to force RQ to play on the timer.
Gonna force him out of space here. I think she's gonna get detained, Iceberg. Will she get baited though? Here comes out the counter ult here from their Harbor. Best using that Reckoning to try and buy them some time to try and get Iceberg back into the fight. Stuns don't connect, but it's gotten them the space they needed.
Yeah, Baila has no fear though. Just crossing through those stuns. She will be felled now by Iceberg. Global Esports in a 1v2. They have the right setup and they have the right smokes to utilize. Best and Iceberg, the synergy stands out for the round.
I talked about these two controllers a while ago, Dax, how reliable they are in those type of rounds, especially their Iceberg, who just simply will not melt under the heat, under the pressure of Global Esports. She will not sink when the ship still wants to keep going, and that's what they did here. Finding those picks that they needed, isolate the fight, they use that Viper's Pit to give them concealment, and then as well as the Harbor for the cover on the plant itself. And when they're able to do that, synergize the way that they are in that scramble where RRQ looked desperate, that's when they look the best.
It's good to see Iceberg back in form. She had struggles really in Open 1. Looks like RRQ Kaguya having a bit of a resurgence that they want to showcase now here in the lower bracket. The Baila and Alika, they're gonna go for a bit of that contact towards doors. This time around though, Baila doesn't push. Actually decides to wait things out. GE on the last round of their defense, just playing a bit more passive instead.
Right there.
Well, this passive play that GE like to do, I'm not too sure how successful it has been. We've come to see so far that it's been on their retakes. It's been working out here a bit more. And that's due to the fact that they struggle to get the anchor positions working out because they struggle to find information where the hit is going to come. But now they know it's A. It's a question of how they deal with it, I think, is a bigger problem.
Nice suppress though from Muffin. It actually makes the wall a little wonky here for RRQ to work with, and now Meow still in secret. They're going for the wall bangs. The scan comes in from the Haunt, throws with the takedown, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. Global Esports retake possibility from the secret angle. RRQ now putting a Yuumi away from the site. Instead, it's Bess who wants the hold. The cascade is there, but Meow is even faster than that. Already in position. Flash comes on in. Showstopper this time around at the ready. Alika doesn't have the suppress as of yet, and now lets it loose. Flies high to get the takedown towards a Yuumi. 4v2 now. Alika trying to go for a stand here. Muffin with the tap. RRQ a bit more wary of that sound. Here comes Iceberg with the takedown. The carry gets the last two there anyway. Global Esports running out of time on the defuse, which means that this will be RRQ's round.
0.63. Half a second here. Defining a 4-8 and a 7-5, but this is a problem though. You see how unaware they were of that A side hit to come. When you have double ini and for that to be a problem, that cannot happen. That goes against the very core of your play style. The thing is, this should also benefit their retakes. Now, they've been twice successful over that, and otherwise this would have worked out. This timing did not in the end. Still though, I like what we've seen for Global in this half, but I think our panel's got more to say.
Thanks, gents. We're definitely seeing a difference in terms of age and composition for both these teams this time around. Iceberg's Viper coming into play as well. Raf, what do we think?
Well, I am thinking that despite the way the score is, GE is still handling the situation really, really well, I feel like. Because we know that RRQ, despite a little bit of lows in the recent performances, they have been historically a team that's all about just kind of muscling through everything. Of course, there's a lot of thought process behind that. I feel like, though, on the side of GE, especially with the double ini, it's a little more difficult to time when it comes to maximizing the value because, as we've seen many times, RRQ is just going to play anti-flash all day. And in turn, it's kind of leading GE into a more contact-heavy playstyle, which I feel like is incredibly counterintuitive for the composition and the game plan they're trying to execute. And I feel like both Dax and Black and Blue were right on the money when they said how solid that backline support is for RRQ. We've seen them basically win rounds for the entire squad at this point.
Yeah, and you're talking about how you want GE to play more proactive. How do we see this playing out after the switch?
I feel like on that defensive end, they just had to push a little bit harder towards mid control and basically dismantle any offense that RQ was planning before they could properly set the stage or set the banquet for themselves, because once again, that's what double initiator is all about. You also have sub units. You can either flash or just be a little more aggressive with the prowler setup. But again, another great point that our casters brought up is that it seems that they were a little too reactive, especially with that type of composition. So I hope they fix that coming the attacker side.
All right, well, 4 and 8, it's still kind of anyone's game at this point. Either side could take it. Dax and Blue, back over to you.
Yo, she said it again.
Yeah.
She said it again, man.
The nickname, the tagline.
Oh,
Thank you, Ray.
I just got ignored. Oh no. But we're back into the round here, ladies and gents, and Global Esports, as I hear my lovely co-caster yet again.
My bad.
Attacking side now, and we've seen them when they form them up, Black and Blue. They look a lot better. Can they do it towards B, though? Meow setting up the boom bot. Capricious is there for that first contact, but Alika actually first kill there. Meow with a trade, and GE still trying to utilize a bit more of the map to try and take B.
Look at the positioning here. They're really trying to pincer and box in that defense to keep them within the site, and with Global having the option here to fend them off, or rather to rotate off of this site, and if they cut noise enough, I think it's going to keep RRQ into a weird loop where they aren't exactly sure how Global move on this map, and that allows them to get into these quirky positions. You can see where Meow has already positioned herself to really clear on out the immediate corners here towards A.
And A site now, GE pulling a lot of that contact towards B, but the rotation is here from Meow and the rest of the crew. They want to play from Link though. Ayumi caught on that, but Meow still falls. RRQ holding that backside. Time running out here for GE. They need to get these frags in fast. And here comes RRQ to hold things down. They had an anchor point, and they will hold off the opposition. The pistol goes RRQ's way.
9-4.
We know the
There's
drill.
RRQ.
Stick to your roles and
Still
we'll
on
crush
the
it.
defense. Readily prepared to fend off that attacking side. And it's very surprising because a lot of times when a B-Link hit like that comes, it can easily dismantle and catch that defensive side off guard, but not RRQ, who had, what, 3 players prepared to fend that off as it did come. The recognition here coming in from Capricious to back on off, let Aluka help her on the fight. Those small things, they give him big results.
Yeah, RRQ, when they have the numbers right, they know that they can fight against GE. Quick suppress also already telling the intention of Global Esports Phoenix. Aluka takes advantage, takes the kill, and does hold GE at bay.
Well, early pick for sure. It's going to benefit them. But once more, you see here the difference on this type of round against Eco. How RRQ readily kind of give up, only just try and find information a bit here towards that connector, towards this mid link area. Because they know it's going to be very easy to get overrun. So they play a bit further back. Aside from this very aggressive hold here coming in from Best. Taking lots of damage, can't fall back safely.
And that was way too ambitious from Best. She only had the Ghost even. And with superior numbers, Global Esports, they make a partition towards that A site now to utilize. They want to play from main also, but then the rest of RRQ have the guns available. Backside held yet again. Ayumi peeking, Capricious holding, and one more time, G rotating, really trying to use as much of the map as possible. Muffin Loop though, well, her dream shattered by Aluka's presence.
Immediate connection there coming in from Aluka. Late round rotation, late round push to come in from Global. But I'm not sure about the hopes of this, Dax. 15 seconds left and ticking. Aluka bearing down on their position. And there's just no time at all for them to get within the site. They just have to die at this point. Get an economy. Maybe Kiri can maybe plan for money. But they'll take her down quick and easy. You know, they could have left her alive just for the heck of it.
No, because I was
She's
thinking
no
about it.
plant.
Yeah, because of the plant, right? Kiri forced their hand there. In the end, though, RRQ, they had such a good handle with everyone who actually bought guns. And in this case, I think the biggest concern of GE's attack is I like the idea of them rotating. I like that they're trying to really psych out RRQ, but RRQ is a team that's more synchronized than ever. Their rotations are faster, they're always in position, and GE, they can't just make space. They need to find a few picks also just to force RRQ's hand in other ways.
Well, if they can continue to do that, especially here on the attacking side where they'd want to close it out on that favorite side statistically, then perhaps RRQ, they're the ones to be forced into a different state, but we just haven't seen that conditioning just yet. Of course, it's only, 3 rounds now into the attacking side, so it's difficult to make, but with such a deficit, you have to try and start establishing things early, because the late game, that's where things are really going to come down to how you've played your earlier rounds into and what RRQ would expect of you.
And speaking of how the early rounds went, RRQ have a pretty good bonus actually. Ayumi has a rifle in hand. They still have a lot of money for the next round if ever. And GE, they need to do some critical damage versus RRQ if they want to stand a chance in the long run. Meow now with the blast backs flying off into the distance. Capricious though, doubling up alongside Aluka. A 1-for-1 though. And here comes RRQ yet again, trying to re-engage. Ayumi with the take. Capricious moves forward, and they get to find onto Kiri. The single wall here from RRQ, making GE's life so difficult. And yet again, we see it. RRQ with such a clear advantage.
And they just had so much more to fight with on that entry there to stop it from really working on out here in this bonus. No flash to aid the entry there from Meow towards that back hall. A single flash from their KO for maybe someone like Muffin or a Prowler, anything would have been much more beneficial. Gravity Well, Noble Pulse, whatever you may say. That lacky utility here. They won't win against a double controller without using it.
I feel like for GE, in terms of this matchup, they just can't be dissuaded. It's either they go as a unit or not. They have the utility utilized for it. They have the KO and especially the Fade that can help them out in these kind of scenarios. So when RRQ all regroup, right? And once the harbor wall is there, the difficulty for GE's take gets even more insurmountable. And you understand why they're calling for a timeout right now, because for the past 3 rounds, the GE plan just hasn't worked out.
Well, what are their plans so far? It's been more of just trying to see what works, trying to see where they can find those holes on RRQ. It's a bit more fluid, for sure, yes. But you can see where the lack of, I guess, initial planning stages for their specific rounds have led RRQ to be able to capitalize on those mistakes, on those uncertainties. And that's really why Global here in a difficult spot. Now, it'd be a very different question if our OBS would be looking at something else.
It makes sense because it's GE Phoenix and we're looking at Phoenix.
That makes sense.
I don't think they have that kind of type of glitch to yell at them like that, though. Anyway, I like your point. I kind of forgot about it, chuckling around. But truth be told, I do feel like it's here for GE that their struggles on the execute is because they want to re-engage in an optimal way. RRQ gets in the way of that. RRQ already is in position, and what could have been better for GE like 10-15 seconds ago, because they take that time. RRQ is happy to use that lull to their advantage.
Well, 4-11, and any advantage that Global could take here, that'd be beneficial. An early pick, for sure, would be really appreciated right now. In this early fight, it's not going to deliver. It's a Yuumi who gets away with one and then bails out, so I think Muffin had a weapon there she could retrieve.
Yeah, here we go though. Bass also on the board, but to her surprise, Rose has a rifle. And GE, they will not take this round lying down. The fight is there for Violet too, but RRQ just holding mid well. Contest now towards the site. Rose with some stellar takedowns towards A, but the problem is the spike was in the hands of Kiri. Now it's in the clutches of RRQ.
1v3. Rose. No matter how tinted your glasses may be, this is a bad position to be in.
30 seconds left.
1v3, they now know where she is. Could have found the timing on Capricious, but off the jiggle. Lets a shot loose and gives her position away. RRQ. Match point at round 16.
Yeah, convincing half so far here from RRQ Kaguya. Rotation sound. Willingness to contest also working out in these more anti-eco states. Yes, there were a few rifles. That's why GE did some stellar damage. But when you see RRQ, the Synchronize is confident. They do look like the team that came from their past. The synergy from Aluka and Ayumi. The synergy from Iceberg as well as Best. Capricious really bringing out the rear and just happy to still play the same kind of style we saw from Orangutan X. This RRQ looking well and able if they can finish off the job now.
Well, RRQ, much of a cushion, to say the very least, of them here up above Global. But this is a map that we were expecting this from RRQ, right? This is where we were anticipating them to start strong. Fracture is definitely at the horizon as of the moment, and Global so far, that's where we expect them to show the best of what they've got. But still, with a performance like this, it's difficult to argue in against RRQ's favor when Global just haven't even given us much of a competitive half here on your favorite side. But let's see, maybe this round to be where they get some points back.
Yeah, it's been convincing so far from RRQ in the second half. GE though was fighting well in the first. Can we see that fight now in this penultimate round? Capricious with the find. Meow falls first and foremost. And yet again, the anchor positions here from RRQ scaring off GE. Time though running out. Half a minute left. and they're just waiting now for this wall to drop. Muffin though with a frag. Here comes Iceberg with the trade too, and RRQ just using cover, peeking out from it and taking takedowns bit by bit, one by one. GE falls, and as RRQ stands tall as time is running out, this is looking to be their pick and looking to be their map. A last hurrah with the null command, but Iceberg will silence that in the end. Easy for Iceberg, easy for RRQ, and a 13-4 victory to boot.
GE still fighting for sure. They got map number 2 to look forward to, but this one so far, it was RRQ all the way from start to finish. And maybe if that last round of the first half ended differently, things could have progressed differently as well here in the second. But the way that we just from the get-go saw RRQ a lot more precise on their attacking side with that double controller than on the defense proved too much for this global squad to deal in, at least on Pearl.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It feels like there's a lot more surety about RRQ. When they go, they just commit on it. Whether or not things go wrong, whether or not they're contested, they still commit and they get the plant going. There's a lot more hesitation, unfortunately, here for GE. We've seen them play by the book, by their own book, and how they strategize amongst themselves. But you can sense sometimes the discomfort when they feel like, okay, things are a little awkward. RRQ, they have that superior utility to fend us off. We need to go for the rotate and try something else. But from that point on, RRQ just calls that bluff. They also go for the rotate, and we've seen so many times, if they're anchored, they just win on that defense.
And we see that many times on over that, for the most part, RRQ, no matter what side they're on, just a lot more calculated and a lot more coordinated. But the most coordinated duo of all is our panel up next. So you guys, Raph and Jenny, how you guys doing?
We're doing great. Aw, thanks, guys. RRQ pick up that RR, rolling to the win with that perfect second half to close out map number 1. Raph, what do we think?
Well, again, that's just how you put it. You know, that second half was absolutely divine coming in from RQ, but I really feel like on a more, I guess, body language and behavior basis, RQ just seemed that much more confident in comparison to Global Esports. Now, I talk about this is because let's just talk about those initial kills. You know, the difference between these two teams. If G get the initial kill, they seem to be stuck on still a deciding moment where they're like, okay, what do we do now? Do we harp on this kill? Do we hover over this area, or do we take the pressure elsewhere? Meanwhile, on the side of RRQ, the moment you see a frag on the board, everybody collapses on that position. We noticed, I think this was on the attacking side, where Global Esports really tried to pivot as much as they can towards Art and double doors. But again, the moment one person would fall on that squad, RRQ would just swoop down like vultures.
Yeah, and taking a look at the scoreboard, we've got Luca 20 and 10, 338 ACS, 5 first kills on a KO as well, just showing how much of a strong initial impact she had for the side of her team. And then meanwhile, for Global Esports Phoenix, you've got Meow 16K just showing up huge for her team as well, even though it was that 13-4. I mean, the first half, she had some pretty incredible, I think there was a 4K that she picked up in the first half as well. I mean, Meow 16K. I'll meow for this girl all day, man. She did so good, map 1.
Whoa. Well, at least we see who is truly the players that Jenny is a big fan of. But as I mentioned earlier, right? Like, and honestly, Dax and Black and Blue put it in a great way. RQ, they just have the willingness to contest. It doesn't matter if it's on a retake or if it's on just, again, a straight pick, as I mentioned earlier. They are just really ready to capitalize, and with that type of mobility and aggression, there are a lot of points of failure, which I feel like Global Esports need to identify and just really try and swing in their favor. Once again, you mentioned Meow 16K had that lovely 4K to try and reinvigorate her team, but RQ was just having none of it.
Yeah, and I feel like for the scoreline, right, because it is a 13-4, if you're just looking at the basis scoreline, you might think, oh, it's just a classic shutout from the side of RRQ. But I mean, that doesn't paint the full picture of the story for map number 1, right? Because we saw there's also that round where it was like just a milliseconds off of being able to stick that diffuse over in the first half, and a couple of these rounds just were pretty close. So 13-4, but I mean, G Phoenix definitely could have picked up a couple more rounds here and there. MVP, of course, is going to go over to Aluka. Very well deserved. 3 KDA right there, over 200 damage per round, and yeah, just some pretty great stats all around.
Absolutely, and I feel like RRQ is such a front-facing team that really complements each
Oh,
other's
yeah.
skill set. Aluka playing on that KO, being a heavy gun, and just allowing all her teammates to just really shine is the reason why she's the MVP. But with that being said, I feel like another thing that I didn't bring up earlier during the analysis was they didn't even run a Sentinel. Once again, RQ, it's all about that activity. GE, if they want to keep the second map competitive, they really have to try and, again, have a little bit more volume in these interactions. Because if they stay static, then I'm a little worried, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up that point as well, because you know, just the heavy hitters from RRQ are absolutely showing up today, right? We're not just talking about Aluka. You've also got Ayumi, who just is so good at taking space early on and just creating the possibility for the rest of our team to follow up and take control of those rounds. But I mean, RRQ kind of needed this map 1, right? Because especially as Black and Blue was saying, Fracture is Global's map pick. I think they are undefeated on Fracture. But guys, don't go anywhere, because we're going to come back for that map 2 Fracture in just a bit. Hi guys and welcome back to map 2. It's clutch time for GE and there's just one thing I gotta say.
GE fighting. Yes. I can read. I was like I was looking at the LED first, like what is that? What does Jenny have? But
Exactly.
again,
It's do or die time for GE, right? Lower bracket, we were saying that like RRQ, they needed that map number 1 because right now going into map 2, Fracture is Global's map pick. So, you know, I know our casters were predicting that 2 and 1 just based off of the way the map picks to shake out. And yeah, how do we think? Do we think that GE will be able to mount a comeback off of the Fracture pick?
if they play receded the way they have, then I'm just a little worried because Fracture really lends itself to the more active squad, as really on both sides, because there's a lot of points of contention and it really does kind of snowball into each other. So if Global Esports become a little more aggressive, find the groove when it comes to, again, their gun skill, and perhaps they do have a chance. But man, RRQ, especially in that second half from Pearl, is looking so absolutely dangerous. And let's just say Fracture is gonna go the way of GE, right? Ascent, I don't know, because that also allows itself to, again, enable the operators on all of the sides of Kaguya. And again, I'm just a little worried for GE Phoenix, but knowing the squad of GE Phoenix, they're very, very resilient, and they will play this with their absolute best, and they will literally leave everything on the table for this.
Yeah, like we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here talking about that ascent, but I mean, thinking about like momentum for both of these squads, right? Ascent, it seems pretty like 50-50. A toss-up could go either way. I think it might just come down to which side starts on that defense first, and then maybe we'll see like some of that momentum coming into play in that map number 3. But map 2, I'm pretty excited. We're finally going to see what hopefully will be peak GE Phoenix performance in this map coming up, and they've got no better rivals than to prove themselves against than RRQ Kaguya. I think we are going to see a roster switch come into play. Iceberg has been swapped out for Nabsky. If you guys are just tuning in and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Calm down. You know, there's nothing to be worried about. This is just RQ Kaguya doing RQ Kaguya things. You know, they do this thing where like they switch out Iceberg in like the alternate maps and stuff. So nothing to be too worried about. I think Iceberg, like, she's just played in Game Changers for so long. She's been playing Game Changers since before we got Riot Support and were called Game Changers. We were used to be the like FSL League 3 years ago, and she's been playing ever since then. And just, I think like some might say she's had a bit more trouble finding her way back to the peak performance that she used to have in previous years, but she's definitely back on her way there. But anyway, map 2, we are going to see Nabsky this time around. What do we think?
Well, Nabsky is also very, very proficient on all those supportive roles. I feel like Iceberg actually, in terms of performance in the first open of the year, she had a little bit of a slump. She did feel like she was potentially a fish out of water on that Sova, but I'm just so happy that she's returned to form, especially on that Viper. And knowing RRQ Kaguya, they, once again, you mentioned it, they do have a map specific rotation. Nabsky's probably going to bring in a different flavor to a different set of problems to whoever opposed them. So I'm very excited to see how that's also going to change the macro, because looking at Iceberg too, she's a little more passive in comparison to the rest of the squad. So she's basically a safety net. You know, when Capricious and when the rest of the squad, Alaka are going to do their own thing, Ayumi's going to do her jet things, Iceberg's always going to be there. Nabsky, I feel like behaviorally speaking, or just again player tendency, she tends to go with the rest of the group to add on to that snowball, to that potential death ball, which once again is a different set of problems that at the moment Global Esports Phoenix have to deal with.
Yeah, and I feel like it's always a bit tricky for teams whenever you have a sub that is also one of the people who's like main comms on your team, because if you're thinking like, oh, we have like a sub on our team, or we have like a 6-man, it's, I think, just stylistically easier to have that like plug and play duelist, plug and play like that type of role, as opposed to being in a supportive role like the Sova, like the Viper. I mean, that's so much harder. How do you then get used to scrimming and practicing with someone else as the main comms, because you're not gonna have Iceberg telling you what to do this time around. But looking to the agent compositions, maybe a little bit of predictions for what we think we'll see on Fracture. How we feeling? What are the chances, you think, of seeing more Neon this time around? My favorite.
Yes.
Our favorite.
Yeah, well, maybe
My
mostly
favorite.
your favorite. You know, I don't think I have a favorite with the duelist. I think I love all
Reyna.
my duelists equally.
Reyna.
Maybe Reyna a
Reyna.
little bit more than the others. just a tiny bit. You know what I mean?
Just
But-
watching you lie here, you're like, I ain't got no favorite, and I'm like, it's
Nah.
Reyna. It's you love Reyna,
No.
you hate Sage.
I love the
That's
role.
pretty
I
much-
love the duelist role is a thing. So I
love
play
them
all of them
equally.
equally. Exactly. I love all duelists equally. I don't love Sage. Sage can go. Anyway, so
Battle
back to the
Sage?
agent cover. No. Well, that's the thing, right? If ever we do see a Sage on Fracture, and realistically, I'm glad you brought that up too, because realistically, when you have a Sage, you're also somewhat forced to get another Sentinel, because Sage realistically occupies the duelist slot. You want to have that res as much, or rather online as much as possible, so you have to go for a little bit more high volume in terms of frags to get yourself going. But again, we really just haven't seen Sage all that often on Fracture, especially comboed with a Neon. I think the way that Fracture has worked, or rather has given itself to the players, is that it's a little more retake centric now, unless you can stop the execute, which is very thematic, obviously, with both Kaguya being a very execute heavy team, but also very, very loaded with firepower. versus Global Esports Phoenix, which is an incredibly adaptable team, especially with their roles, but so far have not yet hit their stride in this matchup.
All right, well, we about to find out if we gonna see Neon or not in map 2 of this crucial match between RRQ Kaguya and Global Esports Phoenix. Aw, man. Yes! Okay, I was like, there's a chance RRQ might still pick up the Neon. It's gonna be the Rays, of course, once again for Meow16, okay? But Ayumi, homegirl, with that Neon representation, Fade as well for RRQ, and KO being picked up on the other side. How do we see that this is shaken up?
I feel like it's pretty standard. I feel like on the side of Global Esports, they go for the Rays instead because despite having the ability to just burst and be a little more vertical, she does have the safety just a little bit with the boombot and can clear with the nades. But again, Neon, that is the agent of the hour apparently.
All right, well, we're gonna hop into game number 2, guys. That's it for the panel, but not to worry, we leave you in the good hands of Dax and Blue. Gentlemen, all ears on you.
Well, we hear more of Jenny's rhymes there, folks. RRQ may have been the betters on Pearl, but this is the best that Global Esports has to offer as we go into Fracture. Welcome back to Elimination Time, though. This is the lower bracket. This is GE Phoenix versus RRQ Kaguya. I am Dax here with Black and Blue yet again. And come on, we were talking about it a while ago. Map 1 may go RRQ Kaguya's favor, but Map 2, this is where GE shines.
This is where they have to shine. This is their final shot, Dax, to really get themselves back in this series, to continue on in the lower bracket against one of really the most difficult opponents you'd want to even bump into here in the lower bracket itself. We look at their composition wise, nothing too different from what we've come kind of accustomed to in the past. We still have that neon centric composition here on the side of RRQ. Nothing different in that bout. And you look at the opposing side, Global Esports, they love to run that raise, and this is where I think the big contention point will be. How do they utilize that?
Oh, and the Yumi, RRQ and the rest of the roster already capitalizing on that speed to take the northern side of the map for themselves. Means now Global Esports can only come from one direction. Capricious with the takedown now onto Meow. And this is RRQ's first foray into Fracture ever since Open 1. GE though, 9-0 throughout the year. Want to still make it perfect to stay alive in Open number 2. Navsky with the takedown, 4v3 for now. Global Esports playing towards main even. Want to play post plant, but RRQ, that's heavy control, getting stifled by utility.
I mean, they have the player count in their favor. Nano Swarms, you talked about attacks, the utilities stopping them from sticking that defuse. The one-way smoke right up above it, gonna make it even more precarious. Fights going either way, but they have timing on this. Global here from the rear. They can stick the plant now. 1v2. Where is Alika? They need the help from her. She's not in front of it. She's gonna stick it, and they're gonna get the round as well. Global Esports take the opening pistol.
Yeah, the right direction for the side of RQ, but the wrong stack. The one defusing, 20 HP already, and right in front of the next target. They wanted to make a trade work, but well done instead by Kiri, getting back into cover after that first frag, and just stayed alive for the second. Once GE gets to the post-plant scenario, as we saw the spike having its own... I don't know what to even call that workout. It seems like for GE, their biggest win condition on a map like this, make it the post plant and play away using utility to slow down the retake.
That seems to be the game plan so far here, Dax. How can they kind of force that space with the utility they've got? The breach here, plus their nades on the raise, is the one that I'm looking at to be, how do they combo that, right? How do they clear out the site with it? And seeing how RRQ were very proficient at winning a lot of their anchor positions on Pearl a while ago. Does that differ from now? Weapons not the best. They do get the 1-for-1 here trade, but not for long as shut down from Global off that flank.
Now RRQ just zip, and then another one goes zip in. Blast back still. Global Esports on site. Nice shot from Capricious. Leads the plate towards tower. But Muffin Loop has a handle on this. A 3k for her. And keep an eye out on this KO moving forward. Black and Blue to make that one away from the null command.
Yeah, really nicely done here. Early on already to build that up. is going to definitely give them a further advantage here when they need it the most. For global esports, you have to come back with a very strong opening rounds. Very strong opening rounds here after that loss, which went all the way the other side, 13-4 on map number 1. So global, maybe not the best bonus coming into this, but if they can isolate these fights, especially here towards the A site, rather the B site, then that's where they can maybe do some damage real good.
Not only that, if they play for orbs, they can get the null command. They can also get the rolling thunder in a pinch if ever. And GE, on the third round, they've adjusted accordingly to put a bit more presence towards the north side. They wanna at least get confirmation that RRQ are playing for more map control, courtesy of Baila. Beyond that though, the rest of the roster look to play towards B main, fended off by an initial Prowler, and it will just be them moving towards a Yumi sightlines instead.
What are those sightlines though? And which ones are held down here effectively? Ayumi with that Bulldog on their own buy. Luckily, she's got the stun of her own to try and keep him at bay. Otherwise, could have been overrun off of that fault line. The help here coming in big as well. And that's what you said. Ayumi with that Bulldog just delivering here with the opening pick.
He was ready, and here we go again. RRQ on the defense. If they're prepared on the opposite end, in a clash here between themselves, and RRQ with the advantage. A nice flank for Baila, unfortunately. Caught out already by Ayumi. Advantage clear here for RRQ. They rotate now towards that B site. And while there's utility, Alaka isn't really in prime position. Instead, the alarm bot gets confirmation. Nano Swarm is popped too, alongside the turret getting intel. Where does RRQ come from? From every single angle. Alaka, holding patiently, gets rid of the arcade flank. And the rest of RRQ finish off the job. Well done.
Yeah, very clean. And that's the type of round you need to have here on the defensive side. Build up a bit of that economy early. Have a good defensive half to have even better chance to close it out in the second when it does come to it. So he's trying to find all the weapons, all the investments they otherwise would have dropped. That's some gold you'd not want to lose expendably, but you see her the way that RRQ, once again, prepared to help each other out. That contact made here towards A main. Capricious at the ready. Default spot for Breach to be in anyways, but it's not about innovation here. It's about just the way they're able to cleanly do things that have been a standard of how you play Fracture.
It's stable, right? RRQ stabilized towards the site. They're playing more anchor positions because it's what works against GE. And when they leave a site and GE just gets in there in the first place coming into the post plant, RRQ realizes that's where their struggles can start. A gamble though early on here, Black and Blue. GE get all ready. A big suppress, a big fault line too. A Yumi just swinging a little too wide out in the open. Not only that, Muffin Loop finding best as well. And Global Esports with utility and authority to take that away from RRQ.
Completely overrunning them, Dax, here. That's what you said, right? If they can just get themselves rolling, if they build a full head of steam, then RRQ, they could struggle to sometimes get themselves in. Napski's the only one to have any sort of response to Global's attack.
What a catch by GE, no matter what, even towards that flank from Dish. Now then 4v2, RRQ struggling to find any point of contact. They have Napski towards drop, but Muffin Loop again. This is another suppress, gives the intel now that the fade is over there. Drops down though, converging with the final member of RRQ, Capricious and Napski. A duo now to try and play the retake, but GE has the crossfire. Prowler gets confirmation. There's players by Halls. Back to back here now for RRQ. Capricious the last one standing. And from this point on, a 1v3 leads to save. GE fighting and GE winning here.
Well, GE for sure. Keeping this one round. And the way as well that they're able to play off of the strengths of what they've got, right? Aggressive pusher towards the drop. Fault line flashes one after the other. There's no way in hell for Yumi to come out of it, and that was a risky run. Once she was suppressed, that should have been the signal for her to start to back off away, because they're gonna for sure know you're there, and they're gonna address utility for it, and that's exactly what happens.
And we've seen that in GE versus SMG. SMG kept running into Global Esports, and Global Esports, when they had the members ready, when they hit that utility, they take that as a sign to check it out and play it safe. Timeout right now for RRQ Kaguya, because I feel like for this point on, they realize aggressive antics don't work against GE Phoenix. It's really them hunkering down and playing a bit more reserved on the defense that has seemed to be the way of the game so far.
Well, the way that they've also just kind of struggled here so far, RRQ at the very least, in that round specifically, to recognize what the fight that Global wants to bring to them. They can't go at them just head to head. They can't simply choose to face the combo here. That is that KO plus Breach plus Raze on a full site execute, or a full execute to any particular position without having some utility of their own. That suppress, it's a lot more effective than you otherwise might realize, and without that utility, you saw there just simply wasn't any way for RRQ to respond.
And one of the duelists it affects the most, Neon. How do you get your extra speed without your abilities? You can't instead. Ayumi though,
I'm crippled.
Oh no. My leg!
Can't run.
My leg!
My leg, I stepped on the Lego.
Oh no. Oh, that has to hurt. And well, we'll see if RRQ
That's
can...
alright.
You can't do him dirty like that. Exposing the man. No, even on a broadcast he's not involved in. But anyway, Global Esports now with the find. They do get their way towards that B side. Alakato playing towards the underpass. And this is GE zipping on the way to Baila with the great bailouts. She's out. She's just going away. Lockdown's there. Orbital Strike, though, is the response. And GE, they made the post plant happen here. But RRQ getting in position. Nightfall, the aftershock to dissuade the tower push. Here comes Alaka in position, but Meow with a stellar hold. It's 2v3 now, and RRQ falling apart at the seams. Prowler there's two, and the paint shells. How does it get the connection onto both of them? GE just get away with it again.
How did that paint shell find both of them? Was there a trap? Was there... Certainly not the stun. They didn't have a breach at the ready. Rose was taken down early, so it might have just been pure luck and coincidence here where it did connect. Unless that stun hit them on their own, it seems to be so. Brim help on the smoke is when it popped on the spike, and I guess they just weren't able to bail out. Not forget that when that initial explosion of the paint shell hit you, it does kind of slow you down a bit, so maybe they got caught there.
Yeah. But in any case, GE's attack is looking so stellar. They get on site, and that's it for RRQ. RRQ needs to prevent that plant from happening whatsoever if they want to stand a chance against GE, because we've seen from the offense, their post plant has been exceptional so far. Aftershock for the stall, but does that scare GE away? No. Showstopper here from Meow, looking for a target. Ayumi gets one, but traded immediately here by Global Esports.
4v4. This does help their benefit on out. They know here where Meow is. Completely blinded for the fight. Gets the one. That's good damage done already. They still take the weapon. They got a Rolling Thunder here to re-hit this site. Rose, she's in a precarious spot. Luckily bails out, but they're going to flood her away. Look at this. The Stinger, it's not connecting at range. They finally get it though.
Muffin Loop fights back, but Capricious does get the takedown. 2v2 now. Rifles at the ready, and GE sets up the Rolling Thunder for the go. They're holding now, though, onto the site still. Yet again, we see how disciplined GE becomes in the post plant, and Alaka searching for a target. Kiri, though, prime position for the takedown. 1v1 between the breaches. Capricious will win the fight, but does she make it in time for the defuse? I believe it's going to be close, but RRQ should get the round.
Yeah, they can get the round. They got this defuse off. Half a second left. Nicely done here by RRQ. You see
didn't hear... Wait, you didn't hear my doubt there, right? I was just like, they get the round.
I heard it. I felt it.
No, I was 100% sure about it.
there was a small bit of hesitation. No, it was right to hesitate, but you can see that once it started ticking near towards the halfway point, it's like, okay, yeah, you got this. And the what do you call it? The orb thing that comes out of the spike wasn't out yet, so okay. Yeah,
no
you're
sweat.
good.
No sweat.
No problem at all. But Rolling Thunder, and then they fault line each other at the same time, and then counter Rolling Thunder from Global, and still it's RRQ comes out on top. So let's not forget, that was a eco round from them.
Yeah, that was stellar.
Able to convert, yeah.
Exactly. They played the Sheriffs. Like Yumi, still a powerhouse indeed. In Global Esports, first time we've seen that defuse actually happen in front of them. And as of right now, they do well play towards that drop. Stability instead. Discipline 2. Lockdown there though to begin with. But RRQ, they're fine with this. They're taking Hall's control instead. This will lead to a 2v2 showdown towards spawn here. And RRQ with the clear out onto 1. 1 versus 1 right now. Kiri trying to hold the line. Best though, waiting for the reinforcements to arrive. Navsky there with the takedown. And here comes Best! And she will best them all. What a position for RRQ to take.
Best round from her so far here in this game. Bela, she gets timing here on Alika at the very least. 1v2. Now has an option. Orbital Strike still available for RRQ. She can potentially isolate this fight if she opens the door and gets an angle on Nabsky quick.
Bela, what can she do here? This door is gonna give the intentions away quickly. Sands also making some noise. Best and Nabsky. Crossfire at the ready, but Bela actually finds the isolated angle. Forces Best to get back in cover. 22 HP in a dream. The swing comes and Bela gets the hit. What a round now from GE. They bring it back from the break to get it.
No way she still gets that. 1v3. And you can't let those rounds slip, RRQ. You're on the defense here. You want to get as many as you can to potentially close this series out in the second half, but small slip-ups like that after great rounds from players like Nabsky, players like Bess, they do it early on, but could not close it out, so just weren't able to play things right there. I think they really should have been a bit more doubled up, had no position to trade off of each other from that door.
Yeah, you think, right? The initial contact could have been the double peak, but since they were more into cover, well done by Bela, just hugging the wall, getting in position to get those takedowns. But we move on now to GE with advantage. Not only with the guns, but with the frag onto Alika on site. Nabsky tries, but is denied by Meow. From this point on, Global Esports in control yet again.
Yeah. Difficult position for RRQ to be in. This is not an eco. I foresee them winning a second time around. Still though, great shot from Capricious. But this post-match going to be quite difficult against this global esports hold. Kiri, Rhodes, one apiece. Ayumi's left alone, and that's all she wrote. Global take the equalized half.
Yeah, nice try there from RRQ. They get halfway, but GE just has such a good, I'd say, sync up on the timer when they get that B site. They know exactly when they need to use the aftershock. They know how to play towards main and still defend themselves. And RRQ's plan to push with the fast lane could have worked out perhaps if they had better guns. But GE's just still at the ready for what comes their way. This is what we've been talking about though. The best that GE Phoenix has to offer is on Fracture. And we see it clearly with the 6-2 standing.
Oh, for sure. You can see the line being drawn here in stark comparison to what we saw a while ago on that Pearl. Global just a lot more on point, a lot more on fire, and that's the reason why out of the last 9 maps that they've played on Fracture, they've lost 0. Not a single one. Even when it went to overtime, able to close it out against teams like Orangutan X, the Hero KDA. Huge results in the past, and they're looking to deliver so far here versus RRQ. It kind of makes me wonder, like, if you look at the map ban and pick choices that we got from them a while ago, I think the opening ban here coming from RRQ was that Haven map, which, to be fair, you look at their Haven, it's also been pretty shaky, so I think they focus a bit more on themselves and the bigger picture.
And in the end, we got the best of RRQ on the first map. We're getting the best of GE right now on the second. And if Global Esports can get this done, it's a... What was up with the dragon? Hello? It got in the way of the reticle and wanted to eat something.
Tweaking out there, the dragon.
Yeah, anyway, once we get into Ascent, right? If we get into Ascent, it can be as equal as can be. But RRQ still with a chance to try and equalize the half here. 2-6 scoreline. If they make this run here, they can make it 6-6 if ever. But GE's push towards Arcade. It's all about minuscule timings. Best though in position first and foremost. Gets the takedown after the smokes. And GE will back off for now as RRQ are in firm position towards the tower especially.
Opening shots here, RRQ. Good defense so far of the site. Cutting off that push from Global initially. And stopping the Arcade side from playing any real games for the most part. practically flawless. They only lose Best on that initial fight, but that was about it. RRQ, they finally stopped the bleeding here, and rat position here by Best. One and done is absolute value there.
Yeah, they pulled back towards Arcade here for GE, but they pushed from main instead. Despite that, though, RRQ, they were committed there, right? I think, if I remember correctly, that was all 5 of them on the site?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
four, and then one was like off site.
Yeah,
CT?
4, and just like for the rotate, right? And in any case, though, now that RRQ puts the majority of their numbers on the site, it's a big tell towards GE. We're gonna contest you as soon as possible. If you end up in a retake scenario, as much as possible, it will be with full numbers. And given that information now, GE Phoenix call for the timeout to reassess the situation.
I think too that because RRQ were kind of shut down on some of their aggressive positioning a while ago on that defensive side, like when we saw, for example, Ayumi push out there towards a dish, she got suppressed, stunned, all that utility dropped on her. They're now kind of dissuaded from trying to do that once more, and I don't think the idea was necessarily the problem of them getting active and aggressive on the defense, more so the execution of it. And I'd like for RRQ to still regain that confidence to try their luck once more and shake up the pace and their pacing here on the defense.
Yeah, well, I'm on the other camp, honestly. This looks better from RRQ, knowing how disciplined GE can be if grouped up, especially. On the other hand, though, going out into the next round, GE, majority coming in from the main angle yet again. This time around, though, it's a more standard split from RRQ. 2 to 3, with Best rotating back towards that B side. Get in position in time. There's a number of ultimates RRQ can utilize here to also stall or just sputter the engine of GE if ever.
Well, let's see how well-oiled their motors are. Global so far, they knew there had to be a lot more presence on B towards A, seeing as that initial brim smoke dropped towards B main. But the defense shifts now in anticipation of that. They're looking to play that contact, not letting themselves be aware too early. Bela, huge pick here on Aluka.
No, what a find by Bela, and now Global Esports make their way towards that A side. Capricious, though, just in the middle of all of that action, finds a way to separate GE. The Rolling Thunder doing just that, especially. And RRQ, can they pick apart Global Esports one by one from this point on? Lockdown is there, though, and RRQ are forced to funnel through the door to play towards halls instead. Numbers advantage, though, here for RRQ. The peak comes from up and loop. They break the knife in time, but the fragment is there to stall the push. Timer ticking yet again. Orbital Strike is the call, but it's RRQ now. Yet again. Slowed down by utility, funneled in a single angle. Best with the molly towards drop. Here comes Meow with the flank as well, and Nowski does get the takedown. Sight now taken here by RRQ. They're already on the defuse duty. Meow, though, stepping up when she needs to the most. 2v2. Here comes Ayumi, and Best is there also on the opposite end. From front to back, RRQ will make it through and make it towards the site.
Big round from some individual players on either side here from RRQ. Capricious and Ayumi from Global. Bela there going in big as well. Maybe not in terms of frags, but she gets this opening pick, which does set off that execute. And Capricious, the double here towards A main. Rolling Thunder to buy more time. We see the lockdown from Bela as well. Buy them that space towards that CT. But Ayumi, she had to absolutely win this fight. Otherwise, Meow might have had her nades available for that post plant, right? And it would have been a B main, rather an A main plant, so she would have denied the spike. But also you see how Bela threw that nano swarm to keep Muffin Loop alive when she was on the site as they orbital striked her and tried to funnel her into the stairs, but she bought them enough time still. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out for Global.
Yeah, G did a good job to funnel RRQ in, but in all honesty, Capricious was the MVP of that round. If RRQ can just separate Global Esports, it does become a bit more chaotic in favor of the defense. And as it stands, it's only Sheriffs here for Global Esports. Arcade looking to be the point of power here for GE. A split approach to make it towards B. They're thinking that the flank's coming in from RRQ, but we've seen it now from RRQ. Adjustment versus GE Phoenix. Hold back and just play the sights.
Well, at least RRQ here have started to find their footing against an eco. Cannot let these type of rounds slip. I'm not looking for it as well. If you're Global, though, you see what they've got here to fight with. Showstopper. the Orbital Strike, and the Rolling Thunder are very big combos that if RRQ commit towards a side hold here, like where you see Aluka, it can be very deadly.
Yeah, time's running out though in Global Esports. Trying to win the round with an initial Orbital Strike. Alaka though tagged, but still holds down the ground. Looks for the spray. Gets some crucial damage versus Muffin Loop. And this stops GE's push from main. On the opposite end though, tower now being taken, but Navsky will just steal their lives away. Here comes Ayumi, and here comes Capricious too. RRQ only lose one to only have a 1-round gap between them and GE.
Yeah, it was a good job of mitigating the amount of economy damage here in the eco that GE otherwise wouldn't have been able to. They orbital that tower just to be able to try and take the control of it, but the position like Aluka, she might not have been able to get a kill, but the fact that she still stayed alive with all that pressure, the aftershock coming in a bit late, no pink shells on the follow-up, those type of things for RRQ to also be fortunate of not having to deal with that. The mitigation of the amount of damage Global do under ecos, that's great.
Yeah, RRQ has recovered back into form, and now we hear it. Overdrive is the call. Ayumi now picking up the pace. You ask for it, Black and Blue. You get it here from RRQ. Confidence abound, and the Nightfall is there too. Ayumi tases down 3 before she is just discharged there. RRQ, though, has done the damage that they've needed to do so far. They have the spike in their clutches, and it's up to Bela to bail out GE from this predicament.
Very small chance now for Bela, but we've seen her in another 1v3 Dax, and she was able to pull it off a while ago. Spike out of her hands, much akin to what was prior in that situation. Aluka was the first one to make contact as well, much like the one a while ago, but Turret now spots her out, so this time they are 100% sure where Bela is coming from.
Yeah, it's a big tell, and has to get out of the lockdown rages. Time yet again being bought here by RRQ. And we saw it for the first half of this first half. GE post-plant, it was just the key to victory. But when RRQ decided to be a bit more defense-sided, really, once they decided to take the role that was given to them, their anchors were strong. Them gambling on a buy round to still stack on up helped them out. And as Bela now gets into position, the fault line isn't even as necessary. RRQ tie it up to end the half.
Switching sides.
What a way for RRQ to do it too. We ask for the aggressiveness on the defense, and Ayumi pushes out from that arcade towards the bridge and closes the gap here, tying up the game absolutely with RRQ and the rest of them really following up on that initial space taken. It's very impressive how they've come back with 4 rounds straight after the early kind of wonkiness, but what is stable and always will be is our panel. So Jenny and Raph, what you guys think?
Thanks, boys. Things looked dicey for RQ at first, right? I think it was 2-6 before being able to tie it up to 2-6, before it's 6-6, trying all sorts of strats with that Neon. Do we think that RRQ right now have GE Phoenix's number, Raph?
I feel like it, just because the fact that Fracture is once again a very, very momentum heavy map. That's why at the beginning we saw a lot of RRQ doing the size ups, being a little more aggressive, trying to really engage in those choke fights. But of course, Global Esports, as mentioned by our casters, very, very good at, once again, giving themselves a launch pad as long as they stay disciplined and as long as they operate as a unit. That KO really had so many benefits. Once again, reducing that Neon to Aserai levels of mobility, as they mentioned, and just for me to really reinforce, I love the man, but those knees don't. And again, just talking about
You doing your
right?
caster duo dirty, man. He ain't even here.
This is tough love. He understands. And again, just mobility was the name of the game for the first, again, 4 rounds there for RQ. But once they realize that they can rely on their anchors and just, once again, how stoic they can be if they just sit still, Global started having issues. There were a lot of rounds too where it should have been an eco. Global should have not invested those ultimates. Again, I understand it's supposed to supplement the weaker weapons, but me personally, I'm just really not a fan of that type of investment.
All right, well, we about to find out if it's going to be a 2-0 or if GE Phoenix can tie things up 1-1. Boys, back to you.
Thank you Rafachu. That's a good one over there. But besides Raf doing his other partner dirt knee, we are seeing RRQ and GE go head to head, my friend. 6-6 standing right now. It's RRQ though on the offense this time around, and it's gonna be a big test to Global Esports' defenses. We've seen how strong GE can go to the post plant. We've seen how stable they can be, but can they stand up versus RRQ, who now have picked up the pace from the last round?
Oh yeah, of course. And now they're in the attacking side, which is the side you'd want to close things out here on a map like Fracture. So for a map like this, let's see how they do. Ayumi dashing on in, but they keep her at bay. Fault line connects, and now they stop them in their tracks. How do they re-hit? Ooh.
Ayumi leaps into the fray, man! That's how you hit, and that's how you just take command of the site. RRQ with thunderous applause. Already over onto B. Get the spike going. Kiri, though, trying to confirm the kill towards Ayumi. She's still a threat with that frenzy. Holding now towards the rope itself. Rose, just a single flick. That should be enough with the shorty especially. Flash comes into play. Bela playing inside the smoke. Kiri does get the takedown though. And for now, it's hard time for RRQ to fight on back. Ayumi still alive fighting. Bela though with the 2 that they need. 2v2 though as time is ticking. Turret maybe can help. The smoke in the way. But as that dissipates, the timing is perfect for RRQ instead. The momentum has swung in favor of RRQ alongside the lead.
Yeah, you said it, Dax. The timing there working out for RRQ. Smoke dissipates in the nick of time. And luckily, when they were pushing out to your RRQ, they were still kept alive and still kept in cover because of those smokes thrown up by the Neon on Ayumi. So they weren't able to be punished towards Arcade. And then, just in the end, Bela could not bail them out, even with her 2K. Still, RRQ, 5 rounds straight to take the lead off of a 5-round deficit. Huge.
Yeah, what a streak so far from RRQ. And now, with momentum on their side, the anti-eco is a herald of more things to come for them. GE though, gamble to play towards B, but one thing that you have with the Neon, right, which Rayricho has been very happy to see so far, is that scout potential. You're very quick on your toes. You're going to be that easy contact and faster jump peaks, faster swings. It allows RRQ to assess that A is the hit they want to go on.
It's the right decision to make. Most of the defensive global squad stacked on towards that B site. Plant for long, right idea. They know that those weapons would benefit them at long range. But the flank coming on in here is looking to kind of bypass that and stop the strength of your post-plant hold.
Yeah. Time ticking now. And here comes GE, looking to play towards tower, but Ayumi's there yet again. RRQ are everywhere and anywhere. GE wants to play off. They get the scan and they get the kill. A flawless manner in the blitzkrieg. RRQ with another one.
Yeah, not a hitch at all in that round. Clean as it can be and as precise as you might ask for in this case. It's a good idea here for Global to try and go around it, right? It's a plant for A main, so why not take A main from the rear? But just RRQ, more at the ready. They knew the win condition. If you're going to take some space away from us, then we'll take it away from you. They push forward, take that CT, and it was more than enough to stop them on the rotate.
Yeah, GE needs to dig deep here, though, on the defense. Their rifles at ready, but it's a 6-round streak now from RRQ, including the first half. And we haven't seen any signs of them stopping. Smokes are out, though, here from Bess. It does seem like it's RRQ who wants to commit towards B. It's a different approach. Underpass first and foremost. Rotate the corner lead to try and play from main.
Well, let's see now. Initial kind of noise made there towards Arcade, but they leave Bess here in a precarious spot. Timing? Oh, does Bela not see where she is?
Oh no, and
He's right under her. Under her nose, but
there you go.
sniffs something in the air. It's Bess.
Yeah. Best is found and Bilo with the find. Global Esports. That's exactly what they want in this scenario. They've been hounding RRQ though. Wherever they came from, they would try and chase, narrow down those options, and while Bilo's playing a completely different game while in-game in Valorant, Alaka, she has to deal with the utility in her way. And Global Esports now. Viola still prepared. Swings off into the fast lane, and
No way.
somehow she still gets a takedown. Kiri's there too, and GE are getting more
One
when
enemy
they
remaining.
bargained for. They're finding even more frags along the way. It's all left to Alaka now. How did GE get that one going there?
That was through the smoke as well. She had no real sight. I mean, she knew someone crossed, but when she got hit by that, you know, the relay bolts off of the stun, and then the Prowler chasing down on her, I was like, no way, she's dead. There was no way she comes out of this. And she still gets the one before being taken down. So Bela, such a great anchor right now for Global, and we've been seeing that since the first half when she would be in that post-plant situation, and the clutches as well.
Yeah, and this roster with her only like a few weeks old, she has had such an impact so far for the run of GE Phoenix, especially now in this map. 15 takedowns, and maybe that's one more player that GE can rely on in the near future. We go again, though. That was merely a bonus for RRQ. Now let's see what kind of woods we can inflict with the rifles.
They got guns now for sure. Still have that 1-round lead, but can't get too comfy just yet. Nightfall, rather, Rolling Thunder, even better, available here for RRQ. That's on Capricious, and they can clear out this B site with it. But you can see how, because Global know that Rolling Thunder is available, they're not choosing to play on site for the most part.
Yeah, RRQ, they have a chance for the execute. They make the space that you mentioned, but the tower is still taken and held together by Bela. 150 credits, enough to just silence the noise made by Ayumi. 5v4 as RRQ make their way towards the site. Meowdo with the find over onto Best, who has been lurking towards Arcade, but Alaka has had enough alongside Navsky. They clear out tower. The numbers, though, in favor of GE. The spike hasn't gone going yet.
They lose their smokes from both sides, and now they're gonna have to try and go aggressive to buy some space to get the plant off here. Alaka traded out
Spike
immediately.
planted.
Oh, Capricious has great timing on this. If she can get the second, that would be great. Oh no, but she's been fired out. Rose knows exactly where they are, but there's enough space on this plank.
Yeah, it pulled away a bit of attention, and now it's 2v2. Capricious still, though, towards Canteen. The smoke is there to make her life a bit more difficult. GE knows exactly where RRQ are stationed, but they do have to go for the tap. Waiting
One
for
enemy
the bait
remaining.
out to come. Muffin Loop providing cover. 1v2. Kiri's just on defuse duty, and Capricious cannot find the right target. 8-8, as GE will still take it.
It came close, but that's gotta feel bad there. Gotta suck really for Capricious, who already could see the kill in her face. But at the right time, Rose turns around, tells Leo, tells Jack, there's not enough. You gotta stay in the water. And that she does. Global here, tie up the game after losing their early lead.
Yeah, what could have been a shipwreck for GE, right? They dodge the iceberg, they tie up the scoreline, and now they're gonna go for a timeout. We see, though, here for GE Phoenix, if they know what to do in certain scenarios. They really are a lot more accustomed on Fracture. They stayed away from the Rolling Thunder. They kept some powerful positions towards screen, towards tower, and they still came out ahead of it. Friends, RRQ is stifled after their initial push. It does become difficult for them to recover if they can't put that spike down. And we saw that yesterday from RRQ when they're facing off against Big Side on Ascent. We saw them try to go for the executes. It's just snuffed out by Big Side that midway that they're getting taken down. It's the same kind of case and the same kind of struggle here for RRQ that GE is exploiting in the past 2 rounds.
Well, how exactly do they plan to get around this now that they've caught on up? 2 rounds in retaliation to the 2 in this half from RRQ. And they're looking to retake them with the lead. Lockdown on either side available. And RRQ here, they actually have a good idea to try and go for this A site while it's going to be unoccupied. They should be able to get the plant off, but it's a post-plant hold. That does remain to be seen. Alaka's in a very dangerous spot. If she gets one, that's good enough.
Yeah, but no, none at all. GE swarm the northern side. Alaka falls. And now RRQ, they're playing with lesser arsenal here. A hold close from Ayumi. Meowdo finds Best first and foremost. And Meow now heard roaring into the site. The fight comes here as Global Esports navigate closer. Prowler is avoided and Meow gets 4 for her troubles. GE will retake this lead, and this defense is now stepping up even more so.
even better here right now.
Flawless.
Fracture, totally. Just a map that we've seen Global deliver on time and time again, and this time is looking to be no exception. Alika, maybe if she went through the ropes, but by the time she recognized it, it was a bit too late. Would have gotten caught out in the difficult spot. So, for the most part here, Global, active defense, actively gaining them rounds.
And Global Esports here, taking as many avenues to find RRQ and just choke out the life from them. We go again to as RRQ now have the rifles into play. They also have the overdrive, so we're keeping tabs on what Ayumi can do with that one. Still though, confidence bound here for GE. They take control of B main instead and want to play aggressive. The smoke is there, doesn't catch anyone from RRQ though, and instead now, Kaguya with the swarm onto A site.
Well, gotta keep him at bay only for a mere moment. Plant on down here for RRQ, but they don't have much powerful positions to hold on to this retake. They don't have drop. Sands is barely theirs as of the moment, and it's A main, so with a plant coming down on here, it's going to be very difficult, I think, for them to fend off this retake, aside from just burning more time.
Yeah, lockdown's there, but Viola with the find onto Ayumi. She's pretty much the crux of this retake, if ever. She still has the lockdown. Suppress no herd. And Muffin Loop popping the null command. Many ultimates now, courtesy of GE, just to try and get their way towards the side. Capricious no blind and stays alive somehow until Violet can confirm that kill. It's 5v3 as time is running out here for GE. RRQ falling apart bit by bit, and GE's defuse will make it in time. 10-8 as the clear looks cut by GE.
Null command shutting down any sort of post-plant hold that RRQ otherwise might have wanted to have. And Alika being taken down early there as well. Trying to dip in, trying to get an early kill. I get the reason why, right? The lockdown pushes him back, so you can kind of expect where their positions are. He can have an informed decision on where to peek and what time to do it. It just, a player like Baila, he's so ready for those type of aggression, that type of aggression that shuts it down and immediately puts RRQ at a disadvantage.
And look at what has happened here. The streak now is in favor of GE. I believe they got it the last 4 rounds in a row. And the defense looking a bit more steadfast from whence we first started. RRQ, they're running out of options really on how to execute towards this A site. They keep getting the space, sure. Still not enough because GE has a strong rating. Now then, Meow with a different proposition. Decides to go for the anchor. Gets that takedown onto one. There's the paint shields as well. We've seen how effective this has been for the side of GE. But Bess has no fear. Pushes forward. The rest of RRQ will follow on suit. But now in a game of trades, it's RRQ who make their way towards the site.
They equalize as the dust settles. 2v2 right now. More utility though here on the retaking side. They tap the spike, just trying to go to reaction here out of Global, who have the Rolling Thunder to re-hit the site. They can use this and follow up, but the fall line here from Capricious, that has to be the big point that works out.
Yeah, it all depends on the swing. Let's not forget though, Rose has the Rolling Thunder, lets it rip, hits Navsky, but the thing is, the seize is there. It's not enough though, Bale still with the clear, and Bale with another one. How does he even hit that final shot? Global Esports, just another victory thanks to their newest addition. What a way with a retake though, timing it well and just pushing at the most opportune moments.
Swiping back and forth, connect there off the spray. Fault line was a bit early coming out as well, but she had no real option as the Rolling Thunder was already in her face. And because of that, Bela anticipating it, dodging it, hit by the seas, doesn't matter. She takes the round for herself by force, and Global, the way that they're able to get the opening pick and then trade off equally, gains them at least a fighting chance.
Yeah, the 6-round streak has been answered by 5 from GE, and now they're 2 away from forcing out a map number 3. Timeout here for RRQ Kaguya. We've seen them struggle on the attacking side before in the last open, and now it's pretty much the same kind of case. You can see Ayumi really wants to make that space. You can see that RRQ Kaguya, they want to go for the push, but ever since the start of the game here, Black and Blue, GE has had a number of utility to utilize just to stifle that push, and they have players like Bailey, they have players like Meow who can stop them dead in their tracks with that initial contact.
Well, how they've progressed on here into Fracture. Coming in from Pearl is such a big difference. It's black and white really right now, and the two tones that we've seen from Global, I'm liking this one more, where they're really just so on point and so sharp in every twist and turn. Global seem to have yet faltered. Orbital strike available for either side, and the low economy here, you can expect Ayumi to pop that overdrive when they get the chance.
This is where Global looks the best, and they haven't lost this map all year for good reason. RRQ, though, a different approach now to try and play towards drop. Only problem for RRQ, that's suppressed, courtesy of Muffin Loop, making their push a little bit slower. Ayumi, though, in position, overdrive in the face of Muffin Loop. Navsky's there, though, on the opposite end to get that takedown, and now it's RRQ with a man advantage. Still, though, Meow on site, felled by Best, found out here. RRQ now looking to just frag on out. Aggression brought out here by Kaguya, and they just don't want to leave any survivors on the opposite end.
They know where they are here. 4v2. RRQ have the advantage in this case. Forces Kiri out to try and swing. She catches the catch on Bess, who is off the reload. So timing, they're not working out in her favor. They know where the hold is, though. It's going to be difficult to dismantle A main.
It's all about these holes here for RRQ. Violet will be on protection duty, and she finds the first one. Alaka, though, with the swing. Here we go again. Ayumi and Alaka hold it down for RRQ. When they're needed the most, they step on up.
What a way to do it, too. Denying that match point from being gained here early. Making sure that every single pick that they find is off of great teamwork and great coordination. And the way, though, that Global is still always so formidable, you have to worry when up against him, no matter the odds. Able to bring it close, but RRQ, stay alive.
They're fighting. They're still here. And now they change the approach towards B. But yet again, RRQ, high-octane action is the call. The clear, though, is necessary. I believe there's still a Nano Swarm there that they will break so far. Though giving up the site, the plan for RRQ immediate.
They've got the lockdown here for the retake, but you can see Ayumi wanting to get aggressive, gets the one, but that's the only one they need. If they clear out this cafeteria, they don't have to push on forward more, but that lockdown's gonna make it much more difficult.
Yeah, it's prime position here for GE. Can they navigate towards the spike? Alaka, though, with the deny. She knew exactly where that lockdown was placed and where the exit would come. Kiri, though, on defuse. GE getting halfway already. This needs to be a swing, but the molly, as you mentioned, the fire and the flames burning the chances here of GE Phoenix. And in the cinders, it's RRQ who will rise from the ashes. 10-11. RRQ are speeding through these rounds.
What a plant there towards that CT. That was planted for CT for Jenny. You don't see that too often all the time, but it works out in their favor. And looking at how, as well here, this molly, precarious. That's a lot more intricate than you might think. Yes, you just chuck it at the spike, but it could bounce off of it because of the weird angles surrounding the spike itself. Luckily, it connects just in the nick of time to force him off of the spike. And RRQ too. Look at the chase they gave there towards Global, hounding them all the way to CT.
Yeah, just an initial glimpse of that lockdown. You might think, oh, this is all over, but such crucial picks from Ayumi and Alaka yet again as well. You find Ayumi opening up CT for them, Alaka with the catch onto Baila, and from that point on, RRQ still a chance to fight. We hear the Nightfall, though, and it's Meow with the find out the Yumi first. Seems like now GE stepping up to the plate, going for that initial contact. Capricious, awkward timing with the flash. Meow has already been in position, and Kiri's there too. GE decide to just frag out as well. If RRQ want the fight, GE will bring it.
Well, they wanted to pass through that arcade, but Global were playing no games. Not with this squad. They take match point here by force as Rose caps it off. And RRQ seemingly wanting to up the pace again, wanting to step on the gas pedal, but it's an untimely demise that they face, and I guess their destination was.
Yeah, they were already there here for GE, and we said it a while ago, Baila and Meow are the ones to watch out for if you want that initial contact. They have proven to be on par, if not statistically superior here to RRQ on what they're trying to do, and this might be it as GE wants to go yet again for the tower hold. Speed comes and Ayumi's in position. They use the Sim Beacon as well, as RRQ now look to control as much as they can towards B.
Here comes on that push. RRQ once more trying the arcade option. Lockdown underneath. Should make it a bit more secure, but look at the flank coming on in here from Global Esports. They want to go for that bridge. They want to take arcade away from the flank, but Bess opens up with a pick. Showstopper connects. Meow is still alive. A second for Meow. A third off the fadeaway. Meow is going absolutely huge.
2 HP and the dream still alive here for Global Esports. That might be the moment that makes it a map number 3. But Meow has just been impeccable so far throughout the series. Putting her in the front line, that signature raise, doing God's work. But we're not done. Alaka, maybe a chance here as Ayumi has been felled. The only one still standing as Global Esports, looking to be in prime position to wrap this all up. Tower now taken. Alaka hounding Baila. The gun is not out. Alaka will get the frag. It's 1v3 though. It's such a difficult predicament here for RRQ.
She can run towards that A with a spike, but she's going to have to just book it all the way to have good time. They're ahead of her though. They know this is the best option for Alaka to take. And because she simply has to run, they're going to stop her. She won't have enough time to even get the plant off at this moment. That is it. The round is done. The map is done. Global take map number 2 and force Ascent to be the decider.
10's the number. GE stops RRQ at 10, and this is their 10th victory in a row on Fracture this year. Undefeated, still on Fracture. Global Esports Phoenix, they just tie it up, my friend, and what a run. What a map we saw from GE. This is why they're here now in the playoffs.
And this is why they're fighting for another shot here in the lower bracket, because of their Fracture, which has been impeccable. 10-0 in the past times that they've played it in the past 6 months. And you cannot fault the team for wanting to have this be one of their final maps right to play. But Ascent is where I think we're really expecting both sides to be on equal footing. You look at map number 1 and 2, either side, you know, RRQ, that's their best. Here on Fracture, or Global's best, but it's neck and neck statistically on how Ascent could go, so it's up in the air. This is exactly what we expected, X.
Yeah, RRQ showed their best stand on the first map, and then on the other side, GE showed their best stand on the second. Expected as is. Ascent really where it will all go down to the wire, but we've seen some incredible step-up plays here from GE. Meow in that final round, absolutely magnificent. You called the flank, you called the push, but the fact that she got away with those 3 kills with 2 HP just set the tone for the rest of the round. And you know who has been impeccable too? Baila overall, from start to finish, just one of the most reliable players GE has had in their roster. That new addition, enough to reinforce them well. But of course, guys, to break down what just happened, the panel will be up next. So, Jenny, Raf, it's all you now.
Thanks, guys. GE only let RRQ take 10 rounds for their 10th win on Fracture this year. 6-6 at the halftime to 10-13 to close. Raf, how do we feel about that one? I know you have a lot of thoughts about just RRQ kind of overplaying their hand in the second half of that map.
Absolutely. I mean, they had a really good look coming into that second half. Again, it felt like they had the idea on what to do, and it's just to maintain the stability they got from that first 4-round swing that came into their favor. But once again, RRQ is the type of team that really wants to push the tempo no matter the situation. And in this map, it just kind of came around and bit them in the behind. I gotta give props to Nabsky, who tried to enable that offense as much as she could. Meow 16k. And of course, Baila bailing out the rest of the Global Esports Phoenix squad. My goodness, I bit my tongue as I generally thought this would have been an RRQ shutout. Really, when I looked at the half itself, But we also talked about how quick Global Esports is to adapt. They identified RRQ's knack to just really fight and try, and even when it's inadvisable, add more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, and it looks like it's gonna be the battle of the duelists on the top of the leaderboard for both these squads. Meow 16K on that raise, rightfully as she should, with that 329 ACS 25 and 15 KD on the raise. Meanwhile, Ayumi for the side of RRQ Kaguya bagging that MVP of the 17-18. It's still respectable. Arcadia 220 combat score also, and I think just more than what the numbers show, right, was that Ayumi was just really trying her best, like with that fast lane. I think we saw sometimes where they're using the fast lane to try and go for that push as well. Sometimes didn't quite work out. I think Fracture is just a map that G are so comfortable on that they know even how to play versus a Neon also. So just a lot of strengths being shown from GE Phoenix, of course, on their 10th win on this map for this year.
Yeah, and we talked about the value of having a raise and just not really taking as many direct fights, despite
Yeah.
Meow 16K being so impressive on that end as well. What we saw, there were rounds where the pain shells would just get two players. I think this was in the first half. She bounced it off the wall of tower, and I think it was Bess and Capricious that got cut out. Another thing too, Global Esports this time around, a little more confident on those retakes, and just so many more rounds where they decided to hold that whatever defuse button they have that bound on. Meanwhile, on RRQ, hopefully this doesn't rattle them, because knowing RRQ, yes, they can be incredibly explosive. Yes, they can go absolutely fast, but I have mentioned this many times too. It's not the speed that kills, it's the sudden stop. And when RRQ gets stopped, it does take them quite a bit to, once again, regain stability and have a little bit more, I guess, clarity in their decision making moving forward.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic point, right? Because it's all well and good to talk objectively about like RRQ needing to have that patience, but when you look at what's going to happen in that map number 3, they're going to play on Ascent, where patience is absolutely crucial, right? And we're talking about just if you get your mentality shaken, ooh, that slide out was nice. But yeah, talking about the patience, the mentality that you need going into the series decider for elimination for RRQ. The fact that they're coming off of the back of this map number 2 loss, like I just don't know if they're going to be able to rein it in right where it counts.
Yeah, and again, this is just another thing that we talked about earlier. There is a lot of fire on the side of RRQ. Potentially, the difficulties of containing said flame will eventually show itself. I'm very curious what lineup they're going to run on Ascent, considering it is very default heavy, and how this is going to go in the way of, or how this is going to benefit both squads, because Global Esports, also a very set play heavy team. And speaking of Global Esports Phoenix, we have Meow 16K really showing her fangs.
Yeah, absolutely. Just right on top where she deserves, just catching out her enemies time and again in 4K. But what a treat to watch. I mean, you know, Raze definitely has been picked a lot in a lot of the maps. It's just that, you know, I think that there are a couple of times where GE Phoenix have the opportunity to pick another duelist who may be a bit more popular in the meta, like Jet, like Neon, for those maps. But because it's Meow 16K and they want to stick to her guns, right? So she still goes for the race pick and then she makes it work, which is just what we like to see. But for Ascent, man, that map 3, I don't know. I kind of feel like it could really go either way, right? Either the overheat really gets to RRQ and they just push forward too much and too fast and just bomb them and Ascent, or Ascent is exactly what they need to force them into playing slow, because like you give them a map like Fracture and they're like, we've got so much space, what do we do? But then maybe on Ascent they're like, okay, like we need to remember our training, remember what works in scrims, and we do that.
Well, I'm glad to hear your thoughts, but do you have any more additions to that? Because I kind of want to go the other way. I feel like Raze is a great pick no matter what, or rather no matter what map. As a solo duelist, she has the information, once again, the capability to just get a pick and the mobility. But any more thoughts, Jenny, before we throw this to a short break?
Man, we wanted to see that 2-1, and we're getting that 2-1. I think right before map 3. Which way do you think it's gonna go? I'll go first. Don't want to put you on the spot. I'm gonna say RRQ Kaguya. Yep, same.
Go.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page. I think just historically and just on paper, like the RRQ roster is just undeniable, and if they can get it together, then this should be their series for the taking. But I mean, hey, we'll find out in just a couple of minutes. We'll see you back here.
Got the money in the bank. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang, 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 bang. I'm a boss, and you know that I'm finna shine. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank. Bank, 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 bank. Got the money in the bank. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the
Hi guys, and welcome back to that all-important map number 3 decider here in the lower bracket between GE Phoenix and RRQ Kaguya. Both of these squads just kind of whipping out their map picks back to back and bringing us here to this map number 3. So I'm pretty excited. I don't know what else either of these squads have got left in the tank, but whatever they've got, this is the time to bring it out.
Absolutely. Talking about bringing things out, Jenny, you were talking about fighting a war on multiple fronts, and apparently your expertise in dealing with multiple flanks, especially in Valorant. And, the way you talk to us about just dealing with that type of pressure is, once again, very good and very, very thematic with Ascent, because, again, Ascent does kind of lean itself towards the defenders, which have multiple avenues of stopping the attack. And RRQ, again, a team that's very, very attuned to seeing Jenny turn to the dark side. I don't know what that was, but again, returning.
I was checking the side selection on our Discord because I don't got no fancy second monitor. Anyway, but we were talking before the series started, right? About how if it does go to that map 3 decider, based off of momentum, I think which side we get, and whoever starts on the defensive side might make that little bit of a difference. It is going to be GE starting on the attacking side, RRQ starting on the defense though. So we had a lot of questions right at the end of map 2 where you're like, oh no, RRQ Kaguya, is this 5-minute break enough for them to get their mentality turned around, stop that overheat? So they will start on defense. Hopefully, that might spell a little mentality switch for them this time around. What do you think?
That could be true too, because we saw a very, very timid Global Esports Phoenix on the first map, and then a very assertive Global Esports Phoenix on Fracture.
Yeah.
And talking about the mental switch, I would personally prefer that they would stay on this type of, again, bravado to just stop RRQ from setting up, stop doing RRQ, or rather RRQ from doing RRQ things. And what's interesting to me is that despite how stale Ascent has been, and that's something that we've discussed multiple times, I feel like GE would be the type of team to really bend the composition to their will, to their comfort, and rightfully so, right? We talk about their flexibility and just their grit. They got shut out in the first map, did not affect their performance whatsoever in Fracture. Hopefully they can continue that type of momentum coming into Ascent.
Yeah, I mean, it's still so close between these two teams. Honestly, could see it going either way. I mean, we're saying that we kind of predict RRQ Kaguya to inch this one out, but if GE Phoenix do win, I don't think anyone on the panel will be surprised at all if they do take this one home 2-1. What do we have for predictions in terms of Asian composition on Ascent? You think both sides are gonna be whipping out the Jet instead?
I think Meow 16K should stay on the Raze. Honestly, her mastery of the Raze is outstanding, and I still feel like there's a lot of value having a Raze on, Ascent. And again, she just has that much more pressure towards stopping any rushes from both mains. Can potentially use those satchels for either just those quick, I don't know, but the swings, or use it to maybe be a little more disruptive. And again, we've seen a lot of fancy routes too coming on the defender side. But other than that, I feel like everything else is going to be pretty standard. I would see, or rather, I am curious who is going to be playing Jet on the side of RQ.
All right, well, we about to find out because we got Asian Select coming right up for this all-important map number 3. And it's just super interesting how both these teams are having a set as that map 3. Yesterday, we saw teams kind of go the other direction, which was they use Ascent as that map 1 to feel each other out on a more textbook, standard style of map. And yep, Ayumi gonna pick up the Jet. Oh, Muffin Loop on Jet. Meow 16K is gonna be on Omen instead.
Once again, that flexibility and just kind of slot in, slot out type of play in global. So apparent. RQ, they have Ayumi on the Jet. Without any question, Ayumi is by far one of the best Jets in Game Changers. She is just that proficient on that agent, and we've seen her really pull out some magic tricks out of her hat Although I would say I am somewhat excited to see if Capricious would ever return on that jet. But it seems that this is going to be a pretty operator-oriented map. We saw, I believe, a Snowkey yesterday really do some damage on Ascent. We're hoping that our Jets here on the field are going to do the same.
Yeah, it's gonna be Fade KO for RRQ versus the, I think it's the Killjoy and Sova for the side of GE Phoenix. And GE Phoenix are starting on that attack side too. So, I mean, with this kind of Asian composition, it does seem like they might be in for a bit of a rougher time than usual. But boys, we about to find out. Of course, once again, here to bring you all the action for that all-important map number 3. It's Dax and Blue. Guys, take it away.
We've seen the best of the best from both sides already. Now, we leave all the rest on Ascent. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's a decider here for the eliminations. It's a decider between GE Phoenix as well as RRQ Kaguya. Dax and Black and Blue still here, still together, and still ready to bring you the action. But we've been talking about Ascent for so long already. We've been hyping it up to be the map where things might be a bit more equal, Black and Blue. And come on, give me a few reasons why, because we're getting into the game anyway.
I mean, you look at, here's one big reason, 67% win rate on either side from different sample sizes statistically within the past 6 months here for both RRQ and Global, so effectively for 2023. But more importantly, the way that these two teams have built up their own respective map picks there, their own respective, preferences from Pearl to Fracture, it all culminates here, Dax, with an early fight towards A main.
Yeah, straight up Ayumi already with a takedown onto Meow as Global Esports, when they move over to the Jet composition, Muffin moves to the front line, Meow goes over to Controller instead, and let's see for GE how that shift will work. Only problem I think for GE, they haven't had the best outing versus the Hero KDA last time they played this map. But on the other hand, RRQ, we've seen them in the Fate move over to something like the breach-based composition instead, but it wasn't the most clean game against Big Sight a while ago. And if GE watched that VOD, took some notes, maybe they can take advantage of the newness that RRQ has here.
Yeah, early pick here. Without the smoke, that's going to make it a lot more difficult now for Global to get within the site and do it effectively as well. They don't really have much other options. Maybe the Cloudburst, the single one on the Muffin, can keep that market occupied for just a while, or just enough for them to get within the lane. But here comes out now that Execute. Utility heavily in the favor of RRQ, who just simply cripple here the push of Global.
Yeah, RRQ very oppressive with this triple initiator comp on the main angles. Global Esports gets a taste of that and more, and Nabsky does an incredible job to play towards Speedway, especially. A rare agent pick from her. We haven't seen it as much in her history. Beyond that, Haunt into play. The flash comes in as well, and RRQ staving off GE. They're run out of time to try and make it towards the spike. Baila here fighting back at the very least, but this is it for GE. RRQ will hold him off and take Pistol.
Yeah, who even needs a Sentinel on the defensive side to hold him off if you can simply throw a bunch of utility at them anyways, right? To simply overwhelm them with the amount of flashes, suppresses, the Prowler's dogs you can throw, and just that amount of quantity is way too much for them to deal with.
Yeah, utility buffet go. That's what we're gonna see a lot here from RRQ. And 2 strong points of their defense rely on how much oppression they can make with that utility setup. And later on, when they can get a Yumi online with the operator. Global Esports, a lot of work ahead needed.
That's an understatement here. I mean, Global right now on the attacking side, not the best weapons as well. And composition-wise, can be very tricky to try and dismantle this triple initiator that RRQ have got. You see how much they've got to throw here. They stop them in their tracks and tell Global to try and pick somewhere else to fight.
Yeah, go away.
Go
Find
away.
somewhere else. No, this is ours. It's bawal, as the Filipinos say, but RRQ, they're playing towards mid control, very confident right now. Ayumi also has the rifle actually in hand, so maybe if GE can find a few picks, they can do some economic damage, prevent that operator from coming online early. GE though, still a chance here. Pressure towards main. They look to play default, and wow, we see Rose as well as Kiri try to sneak towards that B site. Problem here for GE has been erased. Baila with a takedown onto Alaka. this already pulls a bit more of that defense away.
That barely missed. You saw like an inch to the side here of
30
Bela.
seconds
That's
left.
where the shot connected. Luckily for her, comes out of it unscathed, picks up the Marshall off of it, and Global find the pick, but it's going to be a late round push to come on in here. Best, not the best weapons. She's going to be taking on down. The rest of the push coming in as well. Sees to delay even more time and make it hasty for Global.
Yeah, Global though at
10
least
seconds
are able
left.
to get the plant going.
Spike planted.
It's RRQ now with the retake from the rafters, and as soon as they drop down, they show the fury of their arsenal. Viola though with the find, using that Marshall. Makes it a bit doable here for GE, at least 2v2. But Navsky's already on defuse duty. Doorways where Kiri's at. Rose though with a takedown onto Navsky. Ayumi's left her own devices, but now in the 1v1, she just sticks the defuse and sticks the landing as well. Damage done though here by GE. Classic gets the kill in. Where's the rifle? There you go. Kiri steals it away, so a great eco round for GE anyway.
Yeah, at least they save it. And whenever this happens, if you have enough economy to actually full buy, it's not the thing that all teams do. Some of the teams still like to turn this into a pseudo bonus by sheriffs, by all that kind of eco it out. But it's very possible for you to actually force buy into this round and then play it out as an actual gun. You could be an eco on the next. At that same point, you can keep maybe the score a bit further away. So RRQ going for the actual eco option here.
Yeah, and I like this for Global Esports. Their macro, in essence, amplified in the long run because of that last round. They got the spike planted, they got all the kills, they picked up a rifle along the way, and this will slow down the upcoming call that RRQ loves to go on. That operator is not going to be online for a little bit longer. Still, safer play here from GE. They hold towards main, and they still have to be very careful of whatever Breach Fate setup RRQ has in store for them.
Well, lots coming on in here. Not the best weapons for sure, so in this type of case, see how they execute. RRQ have lots to re-hit this site with, but it's not weapons, but more utility. Rolling Thunder committed early here. Kiri gets the one completely blind. Both of them are. And simply just overpowering the defense on B.
Yeah, Muffin Loop looking at the horizon eventually, though.
Spike planted.
Sight and sight lines are cleared here by GE. It's all left now to Alaka and Best to find a few frags along the way. Meow also on the flank, on the lurk even. And Esports looking very attuned so far. Alaka, though, catches Kiri napping. Stellar shot to begin with. Problematic, though, because that gun is still out of reach. And with smokes into play, Rose now gonna be tucked away towards the corner. Cloudburst is there to prevent the cross, and since RRQ took their sweet time, Global Esports will catch them in the act and take their lives around now for GE.
Yeah, mostly clean here. Only Kiri going down, who was caught out there by Alaka, but that was about it. Global just had more to throw. Interesting that they commit. Nice shot, though. Interesting that they commit that Rolling Thunder on a round like this without much investment coming in from RRQ in return. So if you're RRQ off of an eagle like that, you get the Rolling Thunder out of the way early. You have your shuffle later in the round, later in the half rather, to have an advantage with.
Yeah, and let's see if this is the round where that Rolling Thunder will be much missed, as RRQ rifles are at the ready. We get the dart, nice lineup to try and get the scan going towards mid itself. But no one home. Instead, you have to keep an eye out towards Wine as Muffin and Rose take mid position. Aggression though from RRQ. GE anticipating it, but it's a matter of timing, and Best will swing wild. Two already for Best. Before she falls, RRQ get advantage from it.
Nice aggressive push here on that defensive A main without much telegraph from it. They didn't really throw a smoke utility that would have kind of alerted Global to this possibility. And they get the two off the contact, so nicely done here from RRQ. But problem is, though, we were talking about that Rolling Thunder being at least available quicker here as Ayumi gets taken down. Capricious hasn't really found herself great rounds so far, so their Rolling Thunder is also quite away from being utilized.
Well, it's a moot point as GE make their way towards the site, and Alaka will catch Kiri in the act yet again. Spike down, Rose left alone. At least, though, still fighting. Looking to come towards site in full bloom. There though, gets the blind, gets the takedown. RRQ. They set up the battlefield well for them to get this round.
Nicely done from Alaka. Flash one side, peek the other. Quick and easy rather, and clean too. But yeah, it's really, it came off of this contact play that they had here towards his A main, simply pressing up, making sure that they don't give away their intent early, to not alert Global to what's to come. And that sets him up 3-1. So timeout forced out early here on Global's side.
Yeah, and Global Esports, they struggled last time they were here versus the Hero KDA on the attack. Only got a single round, and we're seeing right now that RRQ Kaguya's oppressive triple initiator composition is still so strong at hunkering on down. So many ways to stall, but it's not the only dynamic RRQ has here. There are times we're going to play aggressive. We saw that perfect timing, courtesy of Best and Ayumi towards main. And it's really for GE to find a way to figure out what's going on. They're lacking a bit on the intel, but they have the lurk potential if ever they want to. I wonder what's next here for GE Phoenix.
Well, possibly a scrappy buy at best. Muffin just one away from having an orb to get the blades because she needs to. Will a rifle even be dropped here? No. Maybe a sheriff, a guardian actually is what they've got for Baila. So not the worst buy for sure. A winnable one, but one that certainly doesn't look too well economically for them. They are going towards this B site though, which is mostly unoccupied for RRQ.
Yeah, RRQ have given control of that, and Meow just shuts down Ayumi before anything else can occur. The paranoia is there though to allow GE to disengage. You mentioned it though. B site wide open, and now Muffin knows exactly what's going on. The transit here from GE. It's a matter of timing from RRQ really. That Spike lagging on behind does Best dare peek this though. Rose is there for the contact, and Best gets the Spike carrier in hand. What a frag here from RRQ. A matter of timing to slow things down. Best yet again! That's the second one! The Seekers here really of RRQ finding the right targets, and from this point on, they will just collapse on GE. Finally, Global Esports makes their way towards the site for the spike plant, but it's a 4v2, odds against them. Kiri fights back though on the opposite end. The rest of RRQ following on suit. Corner though not cleared as of yet. Muffin with the takedown. GE equalizes, but here we go. 1v1 versus Alika and Kiri. Both has the only place to play on. Cape is seen. Dart is there though. Alika waiting for the swing. Classic is out. 1 HP and the dream is dead. RRQ, they will get this round.
RRQ scraping by. What a scrappy round. That's the best way to see it, to talk about it, right? Aggressive push from RRQ on their defense towards top mid. Shut down by Global early on, and then they had the great advantage. They knew that most of the presence here on the defense was towards mid, so B side should be open. They were right. But then on the cross, they dropped the spike. Whoever picks up the spike, it's like a hot potato. They had no one addressing that market position, no smokes. And that's why Best was able to get the 2 kills off of it. But then, on the retake in a 4v2, giving themselves 1 by 1, feeding it towards the Global Esports post plant. And they almost slipped because of that in the 4v2. Luckily, RRQ and Aluka able to clutch it out in the end.
Yeah, RRQ, the clutch factor there at the very end. Still the crucial picks from the Seeker, the Searcher, the Spotter that is Best to find those takedowns. And we were concerned about that late rotation. Lockdown though is the call. Global Esports on the opposite end. Capricious lobs the aftershock, not enough to break that lockdown. But here comes the fragment as well, and it's Kiri instead. Victimized here already. Best on the rafters too, as GE make their way towards the side. Meow gets a takedown, 4v4 for now.
Stands here. RRQ having the advantage in this case. Muffin though good for the one, but there's no way she gets away from that, right? Could not burn the dash as well in time. Ayumi takes it down, and so does the rest of Global, who follows suit. It's all on Ayumi right now in that 1v2. They are isolated, so she might be able to get a pick here.
Oh, does she do it again, though? That's the question. Cloudburst is there to get halfway. Dashes on across to the opposite end to try and find the isolated fight, but Rose will still find her anyway. Global Esports with their second round, and they just get the side take going. We've seen this a lot from Global. Their post-plant locations, no matter the map, are where they absolutely shine. Their biggest weakness is transiting there in the first place, but once they're in position, the activity towards 3, the play towards rafters, gave enough space for GE to wrap around and find RRQ in the middle.
And now it puts RRQ in a difficult spot here. Eco, and then progressively, it could be the tied game, the tied scoreline if this continues on. So Global right now, Hunter's Fury available for them. Let's not forget, triple ini comp for RRQ, which can be very intricate to utilize. Lots of information gathering, lots of initiating power, yes, but how does the anchor down work? How does the hold work? And that's why we're seeing RRQ having to resort to retaking a lot of times.
Yeah, retake is the call, and here comes the Nightfall. Muffin Loop though with the find on the best, and now Global Esports trying to see if they can get away with that A side. They cover the flank though. Alaka found. Not only that, there's still a member on the inside. Among Us here, Muffin Loop with a takedown. Finally felled by RRQ, but the damage has been done, and the rotate is looking even clearer.
Haunt is a bit short. It clears out there the top mid and whatever might have been immediately around them, but you can still see very unaware here of Baila. It gets the one for free. Not much of a problem. Second tap at that range for sure works out in their favor, and Global bring it to one.
Global Esports making RRQ Kaguya work for it. And this is what we've seen in their evolution between Open 1 and Open 2. Become a lot more competitive. Be able to make these better calls all across the map. And of course, one thing also we've seen a bit in the Game Changers, the anti-ecos, they can fall on apart. GE doing an incredible job to keep things pretty much in check. So timeout here for RRQ. What's next? They're still struggling really after the hasty takes of GE have caught them off guard.
Well, it's not just hasty. It's more at a higher pace than they expect, right? Just keeping up, and the way that they accelerate towards the site, with RRQ not having a sentinel to really stop them in their tracks, no killjoy mollies, no cypher traps. It just lets Global bum rush their way in if they're able to burn out some of that utility early, like the aftershocks, the fault lines, when that's on cooldown, or the molly, especially here from Alaka on their fragment, when that's away and dispensed, then Global simply have free entry towards the site. It becomes a different question, though, different discussion on how they hold a retake, against the retake rather, but so far, getting themselves into a site hasn't been a problem.
Yeah, Global Esports have seen open doors in front of them, and it'll lead to even better opportunities. Global, though, more of a default stance this time. Look to try and make some noise towards B. A rotation towards A always possible as well. Only problem, perhaps, though, Muffin has the spike in hand. If she's caught overextending, well, that can be the folly of GE. Now then, down below, Muffin versus Navsky. But the flash you mentioned, helping out GE in the pinch. They now have the spike on B side, but they're still trying to fake it towards A. They're looking to sell this, but...
Take it with the ult.
Oh, they can take it, yes. And they do go for that retrieval. Thing is, though, Black and Blue, either B and A, they're held together here by RRQ. Now then, finally, GE get the opening that they need, and the spike can be planted.
Scrappy round, Rolling Thunder coming on out here. Counter Rolling Thunder as well from the attacking side on Global. Baylor capitalizes off of it as Alaka is trying to flash out of the smoke. Rose down to 1 HP. They can counteract with this fault line, but the Molly burning Capricious down.
No.
Look at how much damage that has done. Are they even aware of this smoke presence? Meow good for the one. It's now on the Capricious. TP's in her face, but still advantage here for Global.
Yeah, 2v1 Rose though with 2 HP might have to be the bait here for Baila. It's time though. The tap is there. Capricious so low on the HP. All about the swing. No, the turret might be the killing blow. Broken on down. Capricious still fighting, and Capricious with the takedown. 1v1 now. A single bullet here for GE will be enough, and they will get it. 4-4, we tie things up.
That second bullet connects on the fadeaway, and they tie up the game off of it too. Scrappy round. That should have been a kill. Muffin Loop should have been down there, as you can tell that they knew she was somewhere in the site. Navsky bypassed and kind of tucks herself in, stunned with the fault line, and still Muffin's able to get that kill because of the flash here from Rose. And those crucial moments, those are the ones you have to win. And then Baila as well, opening up the site after they take the spike with the Omen ult. And just the win conditions that Global needed, they did.
Yeah, Global Esports, they were trying to just bait out as much as they can to bring it towards B, but you mentioned it. With the From the Shadows, that was the play. Good try from RRQ, especially the Yumi's anchor. But now on the anti-eco, the path is clearer here. for GE. They navigate towards main, get that takedown. Baila versus Ayumi towards middle, but it's not enough to lead to a kill. So GE still needs to be a bit wary of transiting towards the courtyard. That's why the longer rotation is a must just to stay alive.
They have the advantage for sure. Muffin's got blades too, if it ever does become into a more difficult economic state. RRQ here don't really have much to fight with. I mean, I'd like for them to get a read on what's happening right now, but with a flank catch here, coming off of that mid lurk, and just the immense firepower heavily in the favor of Global, it should be them taking the round lead.
Taps there, but Muffin still with superior firepower. GE yet again just navigating all across the map. RRQ though putting themselves in equal footing in terms of the numbers. Door now drop. It's time for GE to try and get the hole going. Kiri, all she needs is the classic sidearm supreme, and GE takes the lead.
Global here. What a recovery. What a comeback. Ever since that fracture has started, they've had a new air around them. Kiri with the classic 2 on that double in the end. Just absolutely fired up in the way they play. The Hunter's Fury here especially, I think, is one going to be big on where they initiate on this site and how they can clear out, because we've seen RRQ wanting to try and stop them in their tracks, but they've got the response tool now.
Yeah, it's finally time to bring out the operator. We've been waiting for it all throughout the game, and we have to wait even longer. Black and blue, Kiri silencing Ayumi before she can even fire off a single shot. Muffin's there on the other side of the smoke as GE are thinking about that push towards B, and they will look to go for a better commitment. Lockdown is there, and the transit now looking clearer. Aftershock though towards that market side. GE now getting in position as well, and they do get the cross going, but Nasty with a find. Capricious also with a takedown. Timing is perfect here from RRQ. 3 versus 3, but Alaka will find the fading Baila there, and now, given that the spike is still away from them, Meow's flank is essential. Does Alaka spot it though in time? Kiri's deep in as well. No helping whatsoever here for GE, but they're stepping up when they need to. 2v2 for now.
Bess here has to try and help out the defense. You can see her moving towards that CT. Kiri takes Navsky down, who checks the angle, but a bit too late. And Bess, have the timing, looks away. They now know where she is. Luckily for her, isn't punished immediately.
Oh no.
She doesn't expect the flank here coming in from Mao. Could even go for the knife, but takes her down with honor. As Global extend their lead even further.
As soon as the smoke dissipated, it was just the life of RRQ Kaguya forfeit. What a start though from Global Esports, making it the 6th round, 5 of them in a row, and a beautiful opening made by Kiri, if I remember correctly, just shutting down what could have been the biggest tool of success for RRQ. Yet again, economy on the defense crippled here.
Well, the way that their defense has been playing as well just doesn't really, I guess, mesh well against the attacking side here of Global, who have just, once more, the overrun. The amount of firepower they have to throw at RRQ, who don't have the stopping utility that they want. It's difficult, so they have to get aggressive like this. They have to try and initiate, but Global have been doing a good job as well of anticipating when these aggressive rounds from RRQ come.
Yeah, and that read from Meow is perfect. We see her still willing to be that first contact with the teleport. Essential damage done towards Alaka as well as Bess. And it's going to be difficult here for RRQ to go for the retake with that lesser HP. In any case though, it's already spike planted so far here for GE. Keep an eye out on Ayumi and what she can do perhaps with those blades. Snapsky though avoids the paranoia. Muffin with a final to Ayumi, already stuffing out what could have been for RRQ. The rest of GEC prime targets, and they will catch them more and more. GE now extending this lead. What was the score before all of this, Black and Blue? I think it was 4-1. Now it's 4-7.
4-2, maybe, something like that. But all the way, it's been what, like 5 rounds now, I think, in a row that they've strung back to back to back, all the way on through.
It's
6 rounds even. So, wow, the way that they're able to do it, you're right, 4-1, just unstoppable so far. On the attacking side, by the way, less favored here on the map like Ascent, but yet, Global, they don't mind.
And RRQ's defense is where they rely to get more of their points. They're gonna need to step up heavily on the attack if ever, as we are in the last round of the first half. And no chance now for Navsky to even add on to that fact. She's gone, thanks to GE's efforts contesting main. We've seen this a lot from them. The way they spam towards main allows them to actually get that pick. Also, the teleport towards the site, as GE has a different plan in store for us.
Oh, another opening pick. The lack of that anchor utility is making it so difficult right now. Capricious gets a pick here, but they're just so aware now of what to do. Alaka confirmed.
Oh, swing, and here comes the side of GE. Capricious the only one still standing, and there you have it, ladies and gents. 8-4 in favor of GE Phoenix. You mentioned it. No Sentinel utility, no way to stall besides their bodies, and Global Esports will exploit that fact again and again.
Yeah, you can already see what they're thinking here against this RRQ squad with the way they play. They know that opening, that window of opportunity is one they can abuse, and so they're going to continue to do it. Losing stat rate, by the way, 33% on the attack for Global, and yet they're winning everything here on the first half. But our panel, I think they got more numbers to crunch.
Thank you, gentlemen. 4-2 to 4-8. GE playing to their win conditions and doing everything right in this first half, Raph.
Doing everything right is definitely an understatement.
You're
but
muted.
I am not. I am not. I'm kidding. No. Guys, anyway, so yes, it is a bit of an understatement. I do see a little bit of a breakdown on the side of RRQ. Again, normally they're very diligent when they run this type of comp. Yes, they know they're a very hyperactive team, so to forgo the static Sentinel is completely understandable. But everything else, I feel like by the standards of RRQ, Kaguya is completely unacceptable. There were so many rounds where they should have won, but all the takes and, again, just the trading just seemed so disjointed. Many retakes where they initiate with a opening 2 picks, and then nothing really comes out of it. Global doing a great job of capitalizing on this, once again, deterioration on the side of RRQ. Hoping for RRQ to still come back because, again, this is pretty much for tournament life already, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they definitely don't want to drop out right now. Not when they got third in Open 1. But real quick, before we end this halftime, what do we think about the half? Because RRQ have more tools with that Fade and KO. What do we think?
Well, hopefully their attacker side is going to shine a little bit more. Once again, activity and a lot of dynamic utility. Just nothing to stop the flanks. If Global can recognize that, well, RRQ is going to have problems.
All right, well, B&D, that's it for me.
Well, that's a new one. That
Never heard that one before. I'll give you props.
Yeah, Rafachu, Raichu. I don't know. How you want to go for it. Whatever works for you two. But in any case, RRQ Kaguya, they need to find what works for them. Panel already mentioned it. GE, they can take many opportunities they did in that first half coming into the second. The initiators, though, they will pack a big punch here for RRQ Kaguya. Is that punch enough on the attacking side to take these sites and take these rounds, though? We'll find out as we get into the second half.
Yeah, this is where we would expect, right, that attacking side to be a bit more favored with the composition that they run. Last time around, though, let's not forget when they were able to get the 9-3 opening half on the defense versus a team like Big Scythe. They did kind of let it slip on the attack, so we've seen struggles even with this comp here on the attacking side as they're running into the defensive hold of Global, and Meow, she opens up here.
Yeah, and that's the first slip up, and it just cascades into even more bad news here for Global Esports. As soon as Ayumi falls, GE already anticipating the push towards main and rotate accordingly. Goodbye to Nabsky, and hello to Global Esports, looking likely for success. Alaka, last woman standing, will fall there. Global Esports, they keep the pain train going, man. This is still the streak from the first half.
This is looking disastrous right now from RRQ. The squad comprised of former champs in different stages here in Game Changers APAC. And yet, it's a global squad who have looked to be a bit more otherworldly here in this game. Players like Muffin and Meow earlier on in the series, but now it's Kiri and Bayla delivering just as she did during map number 2. So RRQ, very difficult position they have right now.
What a way, though, for GE to continue on if they can get such a big victory on such an illustrious squad that is RRQ Kaguya. Still, the fight isn't over yet. It's difficult, though, on the eco state here for RRQ. They take advantage, though, of the single swing from Meow. Alika will make the trade work. The Haunt is there, too, to expose the positions here of GE. Broken in time. Dart instead, I believe. Getting a bit of that intel or whatnot, but in the end, Muffin with the takedown. GE now knows where RRQ is coming from, and well, Muffin's in position to wrap this up. A dash on in, Capricious will punish it, but who's the next challenger? Who's awaiting on the other side? Carrie's just waiting for that contact.
Look at the damage they've done, though. 1v2. Capricious with a Sheriff in hand and a Marshal on her back. Maybe she can find timing here, but doesn't have the right read necessarily in where this fight is going to come. Spots out Kiri, can close the door, isolate her. She can actually get the plant off here.
Left.
Yeah, plant going down. Maybe some more money here for RRQ. Capricious, though, in cover by Jenny. The dart is there, though, into play. And the martial shots do ring. But eventually, Kiri again brings out the sidearm. There's the takedown. And there's the round for GE. Decent round, though, for RRQ's eco. 3 kills. Spike plant. Well, they have something to work with moving forward.
10-4 right now. And this is where, when Global are on the move, even on the defense, RRQ, they get struck when they least expect it here. Still, damage done, yes, but it's all you can really hope for in these some cases. You would have liked to see coming into this round, coming into the gun round. They have to take this over, and they have to do it decisively. Otherwise, this could be a runaway train without much railroad for them to continue on.
Yeah, RRQ running out of track to work with. Time now to bring out the rifles and rely on their own skill. Thing is, though, it's GE already playing aggressive. They went for mid, they went for main, and now they have the spike in their hands. Meow with the takedown. It's 4v3 immediately. GE with the advantage, but RRQ have the firepower. Bayla, though, fighting on back. All left now to Rose in the 2v1. She's all alone towards that B side. And some sudden kills with the Sheriff might surprise RRQ. They do go for the takedown, but Ayumi will survive to tell the tale of RRQ Kaguya even more so. That was way too close.
I thought that would have been it there. She brought so close. A single bullet, 1 HP left there remaining. And that could have been it on Ayumi. Look at how low she came to it. Last shot would have connected, and that could have been it for RRQ, but they stay alive in the round that they should have been completely levitating over Global.
And finally break the streak, though. That was 9 rounds in a row from GE. But you mentioned it. It's RRQ limping here, though, to the next round. Some Guardians and the Bulldog to work with. Still a full buy for Yumi at least. But Global Esports, they have the advantage. And they're willing to try and press the issue. Keep an eye out on Meow, Black and Blue. She's one away from the shadows. Play that commit position. Never mind. Ayumi shuts it down. The Cloudburst is there, making Muffin Loop's life difficult. And RRQ knocking on that A doorstep.
Well, they're knocking, but let's see what the response is off of this defense. Odin it here for Kiri. That's certainly something they're going to want to utilize, but it's on the wrong side. Entirety of the RRQ push for the most part here. Looking to split this A side with a late lurk from Bess. Rolling Thunder, did she get ahead of it? I'm not even sure if Ayumi got hit by their own Rolling Thunder. Yeah, she did.
Well, yeah, a little bit dazed, but the RRQ will need to shake it off because Global is right there in breathing distance.
Spike planted.
Plant that goes down. Bess with the fight onto 2 big picks from Bess. RRQ taking so much control towards this A side that they come out better for it. While in a 1v4 scenario, so difficult now to try and figure out where she can go. You can see the setup of Capricious ready with the flash as ever. Ayumi's there too to go for that initial contact. RRQ looking a lot stronger on their executes right now, and well, a well-deserved round for them.
Well, it's on the Bayla, who I don't see her bailing them out of this one. She's had amazing clutches a while ago, but this round is done. Conceded. Given away. Not the best economic stage for Global, and these 2 rounds that they're able to string together, RRQ, that keeps them on the fingertips of not slipping just yet.
Yeah, they have a lifeline now to work with at the very least. They have the economy, and seems like it was just very awkward there for Global Esports. Caught napping, especially towards the garden area. You can see that since Best was in position very aggressively, that surprised GE, and they have to be careful of those scenarios. RRQ can pull that kind of aggression off. If they're given the confidence and the space, they will utilize as much as they can in this map just to get the advantage.
Well, I mean, they have every advantage coming into this round. Muffin got the blades, pressure being applied here towards his B. The Odin was saved up, but spam not connecting just far. Ayumi, I think they know where she is. They're going to try and molly her out. Stun. There's no way Ayumi lives, and he's dealt with immediately, but the rest of the fight, Nabsky keeps him at bay.
That was just dirty. That was criminal from Global Esports. They knew one was hiding in the corner. They did everything they can to keep her there. And RRQ will lose a player already. I do wonder, though, if the gun has been left behind here by RRQ. Viola looking for it for now. Doesn't seem to have retrieved it as of yet. And RRQ instead, a transit towards A, where it's free.
Well, coming up on in here, Global, the wrong side can have to play retake once more. If they can potentially get a scan off of Kiri once her recon comes online, then maybe they can get the good spam off of it too, especially seeing it how Capricious is playing here on Hell.
Yeah, committed position yet again. RRQ preventing any kind of take over onto the Rafters position, but GE has a different plan. They moved from doorway to play for mid. Checking out if any flank is possible. Do they still go for the retake? That's the question. Seems like they do want to push the issue. Turret now to try and get that initial intel. The haunt is there from RRQ just to go for a few tags along the way. Seems like GE just want to keep RRQ on site as much as possible. Here comes Rose and here comes Kiri, but down they fall. And RRQ will still stand with no one left to tell that tale. It's around here for RRQ, yes, but that's at least GE bringing them to the abyss with them.
Yeah, GE fighting for sure. If I'm going to go down, you might as well. Crab mentality, as we like to call it here. None shall succeed if I could not as well.
It's for eco. Come on, you can't do it like that. But
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just effective.
Yeah, and well, they only sacrificed the Odin anyway, so it's not too shabby from GE Phoenix. But now a timeout much needed. RRQ Kaguya, they have the momentum. They're seeing that if they get their quick executes going, they can even get more site control along the way. They're not just there to anchor down on the site. That's what Capricious is for. We see players like Bess, we see players like Ayumi willing to push as much as they can. And if GE Phoenix can't stop that confidence whatsoever, can't find those individuals especially, then that's going to be the folly of their defense.
Well, it could be their last option here, right, to play the defense that way. Because right now, Global, what they've been doing so far when these gun rounds came, it's been slipping for them uncharacteristically. And we see typically Global, it's a 60% win rate, okay, to on the defense compared to their 30 on the attack. And yet the attack is what was working out for them a while ago here in this specific matchup. And I have to believe with RRQ finally realizing the strength of their comp, the amount of initiating power they've got, it's what's making things difficult for Global here in the second half.
Yeah, and Global will be hard-pressed to play in more committed positions, right? If they contest early, there's the breach to fade and the KO that they have to deal with and give RRQ the advantage instead. So Global Esports is stuck in a weird impasse. Do they contest even if it's just basically dry peaks? Do they back off for the retake instead? Well, they have a few tools to work with now with the guns and the ultimates available.
Cover going out.
Yeah, that flash and dash combo. Lots of corner clearing as you talked about. And that's what makes things difficult now for Global, who are taking these forward positions. Muffin, look at this Hunter's Fury! He finds a double off of it! Kiri! Absolutely lovely!
electrifying here from Global Esports, thanks to the stopping power courtesy of Meow. But we're not done. Ayumi has struck at the heart here of Global Esports. Meow will confirm the kill onto Alaka, and it's 2v2 after everything is said and done. RRQ though, they don't have the spike in their hands. The Cloud Reseller to try and isolate Rose away. Rolling Thunder though, they call Capricious in cover, but shoots on down, exposes their position, still gets a takedown, but Meow will be heard roaring for the round. 11-7. Global Esports win it out in a scrap yet again.
Barely scrapes by there. And this Hunter's Fury, huge. They were tagged up both very low due to the initial contact there. And the single round, single shot of that Hunter's Fury was enough to take both of them on down, with Meow here being kept alive. First one to make contact, last one alive, and gets around in their way. Time out for RRQ. This is one of their final chances to keep themselves alive here in this split.
And we were talking about it, right? What does GE Phoenix do? Do they contest it early? They do so with Meow, but they keep the prime players away when they needed to. Meow stayed alive for so long. Kiri got such a good lineup on Hunter's Fury, and it was just magnificent there from Global Esports, setting up such a solid trap. RRQ did scramble though. You can still see the strengths of Ayumi getting in there all the way deep towards enemy lines. But the fact of the matter is, RRQ's initial plan, it doesn't work out. It goes to the clutch factor. It goes to the scrap. And for GE, they've proven that they can stand toe-to-toe in RRQ in those scenarios.
Man, the way Global here have somehow, miraculously, just taken these rounds back when it was looking so dangerous there for a player like Meow, trapped in the corner, wouldn't have been able to TP into A main safely with RRQ at the ready. And to take down one of the potential favorites here to challenge the throne of SMG along with a team like perhaps Full Sense Sapphire, this could be a new Global we're seeing in the Open 2.
Yeah, Global Esports playing into such an international standard here in Game Changers. Can they finish it up though and eliminate RRQ Kaguya? It's not the best buy at all for RRQ. They rely now on the heroics of Alaka and Ayumi as the blades are at the ready with the hero rifle. Here comes Muffin Loop, and down she falls. Ayumi survives the initial firefight. Only problem here for RRQ, the nano swarms are burning Alaka. She found a small pocket to survive in, but Meow also with the flank. Sight is given here to RRQ by GE, but seems like the first target they want to find here is Ayumi.
See now, position here from Ayumi, crucial, but immediately destroyed and dismantled. She needs to get a kill there because otherwise the rest of her team doesn't have much weaponry to fight with.
Best stuck it though. She's now over on CT. Has a flank available here, courtesy of RRQ. The paranoia though, perfect from Meow. Kiri gets the first takedown after the scan. Boathouse the only position RRQ has left. And here comes Best. Down she falls. Alaka in a 1v3 scenario, trying to stall for time, but the shock dart will just stop her hearts. Global Esports, they're doing it! They're on match point. They're on series point versus RRQ.
Small piece for the pacemaker. There wasn't much he could do in that case. Heavily advantaged. The TP into the CT position there off the Omen. Yeah, it was a smart idea, but just the timing did not work on out. And while the attempt from Bess, maybe if they had weapons, maybe something else would have happened. But in this case, you can't get stuck on what could have happened, only what can. For the meantime, Global, a 5-round cushion to close out the series and eliminate RRQ Kagura.
Of all things that could happen in this open, this is one that would be most unexpected. Global Esports, they've improved between opens, yes, but to do this against a team that dominated the yesteryears of the Game Changer scene, well, this might be truly a new beginning. Meow starts it off strong. Ayumi, who has been a star, will now be snuffed out. And Muffin finds another one. RRQ Kaguya. Where did it all go wrong?
RRQ. Let's see how exactly they're able to turn this around. Everything working against them. but I bet they don't want to hear the odds. They can make him of her own. They still got Bess, who's got those smokes, and this is what they have to do. They need to try and buy some space here, get a bit aggressive. They have Nightfall to initiate on the site itself and buy themselves some time to get the plant.
Yeah, that's a good Nightfall. Finds at least 3 along the way. They have good intel to work with. Alaka, though, trying to swing with the smoke. It's gone! And the life of Alaka also forfeit. Besto fighting back. It's 2v4, but Global Esports, they're holding not only the sword, but also the pen. It's time now to wrap things up. And as the book of RRQ closes, the next chapters will be written by GE Phoenix. It's not just GE fighting, it's GE rising. They eliminate RRQ Kaguya, and they move on to the next round of the lower brackets.
GE finishing here the hopes and dreams of any RRQ hopeful. Global Esports, what a retaliation, what a recovery. There was definitely a looming kind of, I guess, bond here that RRQ had coming in from their former squad, from where they came, what they're trying to prove, losing what players they have, and the new additions on their roster. But if you want to talk about new additions, it's players here on the global side who have absolutely delivered. You look at how many times we have seen a player like Meow deliver. You see how many times the backline here as well coming from global. Someone like Baila just come in big when they needed to do the most, and they had no response. RRQ looking seemingly lost.
Yeah, Global Esports Phoenix, this is the best that South Asia has to offer right now. A full Indian squad, their coach Crave Kappa there as well. It seems like they've really hunkered down as much as possible. They've done the work, they've done the duty to get better in between splits. And as of right now, this has to be their most impressive victory so far in their history. Removing RRQ Kaguya from this bracket, one of the biggest upsets we're gonna have all open so far. And I am just impressed by what GE brings to the table. They represent the region so well, and it's such a great way to end off the games here in the second stream because, well, GE have done it here. Any final thoughts, Black and Blue, before we toss it towards the panel?
I am absolutely impressed, and it's about darn time we got a team here coming from SA take down one of the biggest names we have in the rest of APAC, so I'm glad we got what we saw here today, but I'm sure our panels get more to think about, Dex.
And then there were 5. With this loss, we say goodbye to RRQ Kaguya, who will be leaving us for this round of Open 2. Bit of a shocker of a loss for this illustrious squad, and definitely not the outing that they were hoping to have, especially after their 3rd place finish in Open 1. But what a statement by GE Phoenix.
So what did we learn today, Jenny? What did we learn? Well, what we did learn is that I have finally unmuted and now you can hear everything. But I'm going to ask you, and what did we learn? It's to not get caught up in the books of the olden times, you know, the past basically, and move on as Global Esports Phoenix truly rises above the competition and in a very, very remarkable fashion. I would love to honestly see how they prepared for this matchup because we talked about all the things that could potentially go right for RRQ and maybe points of failure for really any of these teams, but everybody has just been that impressive. Baila has just proven to be an absolute asset to GE and been an anchor for this squad.
Yeah, and looking at the scoreboard as well, just Meow 16k once again coming up roses on the side of Global Esports Phoenix, this time on the Omen. Also, I love that we're seeing that little double Omen for both these sides. Omen just, you know, underlooked sometimes, but definitely can make an impact on the team. But Bess did try her best this time around. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. I think especially in that second half, GE really seemed to find their footing and like get the number of RRQ.
That is true. And RRQ, again, there were, again, very, very uncharacteristic of them to not be the ones to snowball, right? Because, again, that is RRQ of old. That is the RRQ that we've come to love and really expect. But Global, Dax talked about this, their post-plant setups are almost second to none in this, in game changers and in this official circuit. As I was about to mention, It's just their problem was to getting from point A to B. But we've seen them evolve so much over the last, few days. I'm only going to expect more things from Global Esports Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm super excited for them. Like, as Black and Blue also mentioned during the cast, like they just play active even while on the defense. Also, they ended 5th and 6th during Open 1. This, I believe, is the first time that we're seeing them manage to crack the top 4. So they're finally breaking out of that 5th to 6th tier placing. That's kind of cursed them for most of their game changers journey. And I'm just super happy we're seeing them break into the top 4 tier of teams.
True, and I kind of want to put the lenses back on RRQ because how many times did we hear the call that they have to rely on the heroics of Alka, of basically every single member they have, Ayumi, and again, they're just so gifted individually, but today, and as much as I hate to say it, they just did not look like they're operating as a unit and as a team. And Global Esports Phoenix, man, they just looked so good, trying to summarize all their efforts to really power through RRQ.
Yeah, RRQ, right? Like they objectively look like the better team on paper, but that's the thing about competition. Games are not won on paper. And today, just GE Phoenix looking like the better team when it counts. So yeah, I'm just super sad that we're losing RRQ at this point in the competition, but also just full of excitement for their next match because I was like simultaneously watching both streams trying to figure out whether GE Phoenix will be playing Orangutan X or the Hero KDA tomorrow. But before I get into that, of course, MVP again. To no one's surprise, that Meow16k once again with the MVP 171 damage per round, 30% first blood percentage. I mean, that's pretty crazy if you ask me. But I mean, the thing about the playoffs, right? The schedule is so packed, there's almost no turnaround time. The second that you drop down to the lower bracket, that just means you play every single day of playoffs. So tomorrow, I mean, with this win, it means that their matchup tomorrow is going to be versus OGX. And the Hero KDA and Orangutan X, like they had a super close series, also did go to map 3. Like it was ending the same time that our game was ending, and OGX managed to win that 13-11, nearly went to overtime. But I mean, I'm just super excited to see what both of these teams have in store for tomorrow. I'm talking about tomorrow. This is going to be the schedule that we've got in store for y'all. Match 11 in the upper bracket, SMG versus Full Sun Sapphire. That's actually going to be happening in just a bit over on the mainstream. Wow. And then the lower bracket between OGX versus GE will be played tomorrow, as well as whoever gets dropped down later on between SMG and Full Sun Sapphire will then play their second match also tomorrow. So tomorrow we start off with OGX versus GE. Whoever wins then has to play the next match at night. So it's a pretty packed schedule, but I just hope that these girls are prepared.
Oh yeah, and preparation is definitely going to favor, or rather, how does it go again? How does that line go again? Luck favors the prepared, something like that, which is true. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to create your own luck. Sometimes you just have to just really do the dirty work and just crunch those numbers and basically, study the game in more ways than one. But yes, I'm really excited for everything ahead of us. Still, fortunately, we say goodbye to Ari Kaguya, which is so strange to say at this point in time. But in any case, we still have a lot of faith in all our players here, and for sure, they're only going to come back stronger. That's, once again, the beauty of Game Changers. It allows every single player that participates to evolve, to become stronger. And guys, don't forget, we still have Open 3. So, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, just making it into the playoffs for any of the opens guarantees your team a certain number of circuit points anyway. And that's the whole point of having this circuit, which is just accumulate as many points as you can during all the opens, bag that chance into last chance qualifiers if you're not at the top of the leaderboard, and then, you know, get that ticket into Elite. But guys, thank you so much for joining us for day 3 of the VCT Game Changers APAC Series Open 2. Once again, it's me, Jenny Richu, Lee, your host, and your panelist, Raf, from us, as well as our casters, Dax and Black and Blue. Thank you so much for kicking back and hanging with us today. If y'all are itching for a little bit more of that Valorant Game Changers action, don't forget to check out the main stream, twitch.tv/FSL, where Team SMG play full sense in just a bit. We'll see you there.